ICASA director.
It's a pleasure to be in Harare again after 2015 ICASA. That was a very successful ICASA. And I'm sure that most of us remember again the declaration of ICASA 2015. There was a strong declaration during ICASA 2015. And we believe that the Study Committee meeting should review that declaration to set and change the trend of HIV in our country towards ending AIDS by 2030. Saying that, let me present to you the progress report. We opened registration for ICASA. You know that online with the website was functional since December 20. Marketing strategy for ICASA since the 1st of March of this year. And we have noticed that we have 164 delegates registered. Today we are 30th of March, and it's the first time in the history of ICASA that in less than 30 days, we register more than 160 people in terms of registration. In 2021, you can see that we were around 87 registered at the same period. However, the difference is that all the registration that we received so far are all hybrid. It means that people doesn't want to come virtual at ICASA. We don't have any single virtual registration. Next slide. In terms of exhibitions, you know, we have exhibition space for ICASA. We have 3,000 square meter exhibition space. And we are calling all the pharmaceutical company, all the NGO, international NGO, to come and showcase, to use the ICASA platform to showcase, and also to share experiences and knowledge. So far, we received 8 exhibition booking and 1 permit. At this stage in 2021, we did not receive a single exhibition booking. It's the same thing with 2019 in Rwanda. We did not receive any exhibition booking. You know, those shows that really we reach the target 8,000 people coming to ICASA. Because at this stage, less than 30 days, we are receiving more than 8 bookings in terms of exhibition already. And you can see the organization that booked so far. There are 8. Those ones that committed. Otherwise, we have more than 8 in the database, but we just named those ones that are committed so far. Next slide. In terms of marketing and donor package, you know, we have several categories of donors. We have organizer, co-organizer, partner, co-partner. And based on that criteria, so far, we have 5 agencies and NGOs that book on that package. In 2031, or also in 2019, when we do a comparative analysis, we noticed that there was no registration at that stage at the same time in 2021 and 2019. Next slide. In terms of satellite session, you know, we have ICASA is not only plenary session, parallel session, we also do have satellite session. And satellite session is a session where really speak volumes about what organization is doing in the field. And we are encouraging you to really book for satellite session. So far, we have registered 6 satellite sessions, which is very encouraging, you know. The past ICASA 2021, which was virtual, fully virtual, we did not register any satellite session at this stage. At the same time, same thing with ICASA Rwanda. Next slide. In terms of program, let me take the opportunity to thank you all, because in total, we receive, for non-abstract driving session, we received 65 proposals for non-abstract driving session from the various committees. You know, we send the call for proposal out, and we receive proposals from US, from UK, from everywhere. For the non-abstract driving session, we received 65 proposals. For the special session, we received 35. And for the workshop, we received 29. As you know, for the plenary session, it has been settled because we have finalized the thematic of the plenary session. The only thing that we need to do for the plenary session today is to select and validate the best speaker for the various plenary sessions. You know, at ICASA, we have every day 3 plenary sessions for 5 days consecutively. It means that we have the plenary session for leadership, community, and scientific. But those topics have been validated already at the past meeting. This meeting, we just need to select the best speakers. You have sent us a lot of speakers. Now it's for you to validate the best so that we can have the best conference, because the plenary topics set the tone of the day of the conference. Yes. In terms of abstract submission, as I said, we opened the abstract submission since 1st of March. At today's date, we received 57 abstracts. In 2021, we received 17 abstracts. At the same time, 2019, it was a bit less. Just to tell you that really people are committed. And we, as the state committee meeting, we need to deliver because the expectation is higher to come to Zimbabwe. Next slide. Yeah, as you know, the ICASA website was functioning since 2022, December 2022. And the traffic is very huge. Anything that you need, go to the ICASA website. If you don't want to go to the ICASA website, please check in your file. We have some phone number and WhatsApp. Call directly for any information. Otherwise, link directly with the local secretariat here, and they will give you more information. On the website, at this stage, we have unique visitor, more than 2008 unique visitor, but we have the traffic, more than 11,700 traffic on the website. It was not the same case at 2021. 2021, we were having 622 unique visitors. You can see the engagement to the ICASA. Next. Yeah, we also have the social media. We appreciate that when we are twisting, you should also follow us, because all of you are the ambassador of ICASA. When we are talking about the thematics, it's important that you should also talk about it so that people should know how we organize ICASA. We don't stay in the comfort of our office to draft ICASA program. ICASA program is being driven by you. And we expect that this ICASA really will change the global landscape of HIV in our setting. Thank you. Next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luke. Maybe there are questions or need for clarification from that presentation. Is there any, or shall we ask him to proceed to the next presentation? Luke, can you proceed to the next presentation?
The next presentation is the budget of ICASA 2023. The budget of ICASA 2023 since 2005 that I joined ICASA, we have tried to cut down the budget. In 2005 in Abuja, the budget of ICASA was $8 million. But nowadays, the budget of ICASA, we try to reduce costs at maximum, and it's around $3 million. Without the support of the government, it's important that we should mention that. Because the government is supporting all the conference center. They are taking care of all the conference center. When I'm talking about all the conference center, I'm talking about the various session rooms. I'm talking about the tent that we have to build for the community village. I'm talking about the tent that we have to build for exhibition. And also I'm talking about the facility in terms of transportation of the various participants from the hotel, from the airport to the hotel and to the conference center. This is very good. Without that, we cannot organize ICASA. And the assumption of this budget, it comes from the past ICASAs. As I told you, we try to cost. We are proposing for this ICASA 2023 a budget for $3,124,290.39. When we compare with ICASA in Rwanda and ICASA in South Africa, we notice that we always cut costs at every ICASA based on the past experience, you know. And this one, the assumption comes from, first of all, the post-conference activity. We have a pre-conference activity, post-conference activity, and conference activity. This is the way we crafted the budget. And you can see, as a post-conference activity, we have, first of all, the closing and opening ceremony logistics, that is around $133,700 US dollars. And for the post-activity, we have evaluation and audit. Don't forget that ICASA has been audited by Pricewaterhouse. This one was the recommendation from the board and donors. And Pricewaterhouse has been auditing ICASA since more than 5 ICASAs now. And it all is on the website of ICASA and SAR. Then we have also audit and reporting. If you go to ICASA SAR website, you will see all the past reports. You will see also all the past abstracts. ICASA report is like a library for our continent. We have more than 500,000 abstracts there. You can go and check. Saying that, the first slide, please, go back. In terms of expenditure, we are projecting an expenditure of $3,124,299.39 USD. Now, in terms of product income for the conference. Next slide. Next slide. In terms of income from the conference, you know, ICASA also generates income based on the marketing tools that we developed. The satellite session, the exhibition, the registration help us to generate some fund to help the government. Otherwise, we cannot host this meeting. This is why we are appealing to you to book more satellite sessions, to send the documentation out to your partner so that they can see the type of satellite session that they want to book or the type of exhibition that they want to book. It's very, very important for the survival of this conference. Saying that, we projected, we take the assumption, because the past ICASA in Durban, we have effectively 4,000 people registered. But we have other 4,000 at the community village because we give free registration for them. Now we cater for 8,000 delegates, but all was virtual. And the assumption, we take that one, that statistic, and the assumption that we cannot go beyond 3,000 for this ICASA, even if we are shooting for 8,000. When we are budgeting for ICASA, we always take the critical scenario. In case we don't have registration at all, the worst scenario is 3,000 to 1,005. This will be the worst scenario of ICASA. Based on those assumptions, we have noticed that we can generate income. If you all help us to mobilize resources, we can generate income to $2,150,310 US dollar. This is what we can generate as income if you really help to advertise and also to book the various products of the conference. And let me also explain, if you don't select the best speakers, there's no way we can get participants here. Because participants, they just look at the program and want to see the speaker and the thematics. If the speakers and the thematics are not attractive, are not innovative, nobody will book and come here. Then you have a huge task of responsibility upon your shoulder. Next slide. However, when we take that assumption of 3,000 delegates, you will notice that ICASA registration for low-income country is between $450, low-income country, to $500. But for the host country, it's $300. When we take that one, you will notice that you see, we take 3,000, number of delegates, 3,000. And we have the projected expenditure, 3 million. The projected income, 2.4 million. We notice that we have a deficit of more than $600,000. However, the cost of the delegate does not cover the expenditure of the conference. Because the delegate, they are paying $400 and $500 for low middle income, and higher income is none of the maximum. You know, if we were to take into consideration the cost of delegate, it should be normally $1,011 for every delegate. But we can't afford that one in Africa. It's not possible. This is why we also raise funds to compensate the gap between the delegate costs and also the other product of the conference. Saying that with this, if you have the worst scenario, 3,000 delegates, it means that we'll be in deficit, definitively, of more than $600,000. And worst case, worse, we find ourselves with 1,500 delegates, then we'll be in the deficit of $1,182,000. In conclusion, we need to raise funds. The government support is very strong, but it's not enough to organize ICASA. Let me go down. You will see the projected sponsorship from the government package. The government package take care, first of all, of the support staff, the local secretariat. Also the conference center venue, as I said. And also of the scholarship for the local. Because on the MOU that we signed with the government, we tell the government that you need to sponsor your local delegate at the level of 500 people, local. People from all over the region, all over the place in Zimbabwe has the right to attend the meeting. They're going to have to sponsor them, at least 500 participants. And we have that commitment already. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that. The chair now. Saying that, we are expecting the government to sponsor ICASA. The projected budget is around $1,317,000. But we believe, because the inflation that we are seeing in country, it could shoot against the roof. But as I told you, our aims is to cost maximum. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I think I'm done for this presentation.
Very clear budget and targets are clear. Commitment of government is also very clear. Any questions, comments, observations from the meeting? Yes, just say your name and talk.
Thank you very much, Luke, for that presentation. My name once again is Jackie Kabambe from UNICEF Zimbabwe. I have a question on the pre-conference budget that you talked about. I wanted to find out, does that budget include population-specific pre-conference? For example, for the women living with HIV like we had last time in 2015. And also, I wanted to find out if there will be any pre-conference for young people, and if that budget of 88,000 is there for catering for those population-specific pre-conferences. Thank you.
Okay, before you respond, any other questions? I hope you are noting down the questions. Oh, okay, maybe I'll ask you to respond to this one before you forget, and then there's go to the round. No, can you wait? Let him respond, because he had not been noting that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. In terms of pre-conferences, we are planning to have 5 pre-conferences. 3 pre-conferences will be organized at VICFOS. And the first pre-conferences that will be organized at VICFOS will be on the 2nd of December. It will be the pre-conferences for First Lady to address the PMTCT and to end HIV with the children. This is the first pre-conference that we do. The second pre-conferences also will be at VICFOS on domestic funding. We are calling all the ministers of finance in Africa to address this issue, domestic funding. It's time that our government should put the money where it's supposed to be. And the last pre-conferences at VICFOS will be the pre-conferences on Minister of Sports and Youth. Because we want the Sport of Youth Minister to start integrating sexual reproductive health and rights inside their program. Because we have noticed a vacuum, a gap there. We need to see how we can help them to integrate that in their various programs. Those ones are higher level pre-conferences. Now, here in Harare, we have a pre-conferences on the 14th. We are proposing for the 4th or on the 3rd. It will be for the women and also people living with HIV and handicap. Those are the 3 plus the youth pre-conference. But we want to join the youth pre-conference with the Minister of Youth, because the youth pre-conference is slightly different. But this time around, we want to put them with the Minister of Youth so that really we can address their issues. Thank you so much.
There was a comment or a question that just again say your name and get on with it.
Je m'appelle Loumou Chabani Jean-Serge. Je travaille pour le gouvernement provincial au Lualaba en RDC. Je suis engagé dans le VIH depuis 2000, les années plutôt 1995. J'ai vu la présentation du budget au niveau des sources. Je crois qu'il y a un aspect qui pourrait être capitalisé dans le cadre de l'implication du secteur privé. Et je pense tout particulièrement au secteur de mines et du pétrole. Je crois que dans tout le pays d'Afrique, et tout particulièrement ici en Afrique australe, le secteur minier est très, très développé. Comment est-ce que nous pouvons capitaliser le secteur minier dans le cadre de leur responsabilité sociétale pour contribuer justement au financement de programmes du VIH, notamment à travers ICASA, mais aussi pour qu'ils soient présents pour les différentes exhibitions et présentations. Et je crois que la même question reviendra par rapport aux thématiques, parce que la question du VIH dans les communautés minières doit, à mon avis, être mise en avant parce qu'il y a des sérieux problèmes dans ce domaine. Il y a des ressources, mais qui ne sont pas convenablement capitalisées pour répondre au VIH dans les communautés minières. Et je crois que ICASA peut mettre en place une stratégie, on pourrait parler avec Luc, pour voir comment toucher certains milieux. Je vous remercie.
Okay, I hope you've noted that. Any other question, comment before Luke responds? Yes, yes, sir.
Bonjour, c'est Cédric du Réseau mondial des personnes vivant avec le VIH. J'ai deux petites questions pratiques. La première, c'est par rapport, vous nous avez clairement demandé de fournir un effort en fait que on puisse avoir des satellite sessions et générer des revenus, ce qui est, je pense, une demande très noble. J'aimerais demander en retour si ICASA 2023, quelles sont les prévisions pour les scholarships au niveau des communautés, des gens qui ne pourront pas peut-être avoir de financement pour participer, mais qui ont vraiment une expérience à apporter au niveau de la conférence? La deuxième question, je pose cette question justement en pensant à notre rôle de mobiliser plus de partenaires afin qu'on génère des revenus, mais en même temps, la partie remise, c'est l'appui aux communautés pour participer. Et ma deuxième question, c'est peut-être une clarification par rapport à la préconférence des femmes et des personnes vivant avec le VIH. Je ne sais pas si j'ai bien noté ou c'est une préconférence officielle de ICASA et comment est-ce que les représentants ici, mais aussi les personnes vivant avec le VIH, les représentants de personnes vivant avec le VIH peuvent être aussi utiles à appuyer parce que je pense que ça, c'est pour moi, c'est une première, malgré mon jeune âge. Et aussi pour la préconférence de jeunes que Madame a demandé. Je pense que c'est bien qu'on a une préconférence avec les ministres de sport de la jeunesse parce qu'ils ont dans leur portefeuille la gestion. Mais je me demande bien sûr si cela pourrait permettre un engagement ou participation des jeunes. Aussi, seulement avoir une pré-conférence de jeunes ne serait pas une idée stratégique pour qu'on puisse, comme à l'accoutumée, récolter les priorités et les demandes des jeunes avant la tenue de la conférence. Je vous remercie.
Yeah, I think, look, let me ask you to respond before we go to further questions. It's been a bit long.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. En ce qui concerne la responsabilité des sociétés minières, leur responsabilité sociale, oui, ça c'est très bienvenu. C'est très bienvenu parce que on n'a jamais essayé de les approcher. Et comme vous êtes des ambassadeurs ici, il faut qu'on se rapproche de vous pour qu'on puisse faciliter cet état de fait. Ça, c'est un. De deux, il faudrait d'abord qu'on puisse les cibler et qu'ils puissent aussi intervenir au niveau de la pré-conférence sur le financement domestique. Ça, c'est très important parce qu'on a besoin des philanthropes aussi pour cette pré-conférence. Donc, s'il vous plaît, après les travaux, on peut se voir pour élargir aussi ce débat et voir quels sont les différents partenaires dans ce secteur-là qu'on pourra approcher. On a une stratégie très claire et je pense que ça peut se faire. Le deuxième point, c'est concernant le scholarship de notre ami Cédric. Oui, Cédric a travaillé avec nous depuis toujours. Je pense que tu es dans le comité des jeunes d'ICASA. Ah, donc ce n'est pas le même Cédric. D'accord. OK. Cédric, les bourses à ICASA, on donne toujours des bourses à valeur de 500 bourses à chaque ICASA. Est-ce que vous voyez? Et ces bourses-là, il y a le docteur, le directeur du NAC qui va faire une présentation par rapport au scholarship et pour vous expliquer l'attribution des bourses. Et généralement, dans les bourses, les jeunes aussi ont un pourcentage, les femmes un pourcentage, les personnes qui ont un pourcentage, c'est bien distribué. Donc, quand il sera sa session, il va présenter sa session, vous allez voir l'attribution des bourses et aussi comment participer parce qu'on envoie un appel à candidature pour tous les boursiers. Et ces boursiers-là doivent quand même se manifester pour dire oui, moi je veux une bourse, mais ça dépend de quelle bourse, puisqu'on donne des bourses totales, des bourses partielles et des demi-bourses. Ça dépend. Donc, autant important, il va faire sa présentation et vous expliquer un peu comment ça se passe. Le dernier point, c'est la préconférence. Le problème, c'était de voir pourquoi ne pas avoir une préconférence des jeunes séparée de la préconférence des jeunes avec les ministres de la jeunesse et des sports. C'est une très bonne initiative, certes, mais on peut coupler les deux parce que les ministres de la jeunesse et des sports ne vont pas faire 1 heure avec vous. Ils vont faire maximum 1 heure de temps et vous pouvez continuer la conférence entre les jeunes. Et donc, on doit pouvoir finaliser le programme ensemble parce que pour finaliser ce programme-là, ce qu'on fait généralement, on fait un appel à candidature à tous les jeunes par rapport aux thématiques et par rapport au programme qu'ils souhaiteraient présenter à ICASA. Vous voyez. Donc, l'appel à thématique sera ouvert juste après cette réunion. Donc, maximum en avril, vous aurez cet appel et les jeunes vont contribuer. Il faut aussi dire que nous avons un comité de jeunes. Et donc, quand l'appel sera lancé, il faudrait aussi suivre sur le website, si vous n'êtes pas dans notre base de données, pour avoir les informations qu'il vous faut pour que vous puissiez répondre à cet appel-là. Le dernier point, oui, j'ai déjà répondu à ça, c'est la préconférence des jeunes. Ça dépend de comment on va peaufiner le programme, parce que nous sommes là pour ça. Mais pour le programme des jeunes, on ne le peaufine pas ici. On préfère que les jeunes même s'approprient de ce programme-là. C'est pour ça qu'on va bientôt lancer l'appel à candidature pour le programme des jeunes, pour que les jeunes puissent s'en occuper. Oui, Monsieur le Président, je pense que j'ai répondu à quelques questions. J'espère qu'ils sont satisfaits. Merci.
He has done justice. I think justice has been done, but there's a burning arm up there, a burning arm.
Pardon, je me permets d'insister. Il y avait une troisième question sur la tenue de conférence des personnes vivant avec le VIH et les femmes. Je demandais comment est-ce qu'on peut appuyer avec la représentation des personnes vivant avec le VIH ici présentes. Merci.
Oui, j'ai déjà répondu à ça. J'ai dit qu'il y aura un appel à candidature, un appel de thématique qui sera lancé. Il faudrait répondre à cet appel-là. Comme vous avez vu ce qu'on fait ici, on lance un appel aux thématiques. Et plusieurs personnes, un peu partout dans le monde, répondent en envoyant leurs thématiques. Et le comité des jeunes va siéger pour valider les thématiques qui pensent qu'ils sont les meilleures pour cet ICASA. C'est comme ça que ça se passe. Donc, je vous en prie, il faudrait être focalisé sur le site web d'ICASA et de la SAR pour suivre quand on envoie les appels à candidature, les appels à thématiques. C'est très important. Merci bien. Et je vais renchérir. Si vous n'êtes pas satisfait, après la session, on peut se voir pour mieux discuter. Je peux prendre du temps pour vous expliquer un peu le mécanisme de gestion de la conférence des jeunes. D'accord? Merci.
Yeah, clearly the issue of pre-conferences is an ongoing process now to try and panel beat it properly. And ideas are welcome. And I are quite right, you can have a bilateral. But if there are any other views, you can also have bilaterals and feed in. Because I think we need something solid, something that is workable, something that is convincing, and I think it's fair to begin to question some of these issues. So at this juncture, unless there's another, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Dr. Zakan. Luke, thank you so much. I mean, your presentation, it's quite straightforward. And we do understand that there are issues around funding. So my question to you, are we planning to have different scenarios, based on the budget gap that we do have? Do you have plan A? So if I'm able to get this amount of resources, this is what I will do, and so on and so forth. Are you, is that something that we may want to consider, as much as we'll do everything possible, so to make sure that there's no funding gap? But it might be wise, so as a matter of planning, to say what if, so I can bridge the gap at 50% or 75%, so it might be good also to consider that. Again, excellent presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, you can respond.
Yeah. And thank you, Dr. Zakan. Thank you so much. Dr. Zakan was very supportive when he was the director of UNAIDS in Ghana. Our headquarters is based in Ghana. Let me say that. He was very supportive when he was there. And I'm happy to see him. I'm sure that he will support most of my people from Nigeria to attend ICASA. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we have a several scenario, but I just presented two scenarios today. The first scenario is 3,000, and the worst scenario is 1,005. It means that we can adjust.
Million.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the delegate participants.
Okay.
Yeah. We just show two scenarios, but you have several scenarios. It depends the way we mobilize some funding, and we can adjust it. Yeah, possible. Thank you.
So, Dr. Zeki, it's a question of prioritization that you're talking about.
Just to have it on the records, I was able to support you as UNAIDS country director in Ghana because my boss sitting here, Dr. Meskerem Bekele, was in the RST in Dakar. So when you did send your requests, so from you to the RST to provide necessary support, so I just want to recognize, her leadership and make sure that we can all clap for her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Meskerem. I think you're humble, isn't it? Thank you. We like that. Well, at this juncture, unless there's another question, I want to proceed. We're slightly behind time. And I want to recognize that our Deputy Minister of Health and Child Care has just arrived, Dr. John Mangwiro. And at an appropriate time, we'll ask him to give his speech. But Dr. Mangwiro, can we just recognize him, please? Thank you. I'm going to call upon the Vice President of SAR, Professor Mohamed Shakran, to just go through very quickly with us the issue of plenary speakers.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you again for all delegates and members of different committees of ICASA 2023, and welcome in Harare for this very important meeting, Second International Steering Committee. This is a very important meeting before the marathon meeting planned for next summer. So thank you again for your engagement and for all your effort and for taking time to attend this meeting. The scientific, please, you can share the slide. So the scientific program seems to be very attractive and interesting with many topics on COVID-19. Especially in impact of COVID-19 on the health system, and also lesson learned from COVID-19 to develop HIV vaccine. Also innovative biomedical intervention for treatment and prevention in HIV, differentiated testing and care services, optimization of pediatric ERT and PMTCT, and new community approaches for treatment and prevention, and also intervention to achieve universal health coverage targets, and of course raising funding, because funding is very, very important to achieve our targets. So many thanks for all of you for submitting very interesting suggestions at these different topics, and we look forward to continue our work today to finalize this program. So the objective of this presentation, it will be very, very brief presentation, just to highlight the gaps on some scientific topics on some scientific session of this program. And I will focus on plenary session, but of course, I will give you some advice for the concurrent session. So for the scientific program, and especially for the plenary session, we have for scientific program 5 suggestions on fast track taking vaccines, lesson learned from COVID-19 and HIV vaccine development. We have speaker nomination 4 proposition and backup 5 proposition. So we have to select and to identify one speaker nomination and 2 speakers for backup. For each topic, we need to select one relevant and the best speaker for the topic and the 2 backups. Next slide. Next, please. This is for community programs. Also, we have 5 suggestions for topics. For the first one, we have 6 proposition for speakers nomination and 7 proposition for speaker backup. So we need also for each topic, for a proposed topic, to select one speaker nomination and 2 speakers for backups. And of course, we need to identify also the mail address of these speakers. Please. Next one. This is for leadership program, also the same. For leadership program, we have to fill the gap in backup speakers for some topics, especially innovative funding of HIV and refocusing HIV finance in closing HIV equity gaps in Africa and prevention for youth. And also for the 4th and topics from boutique to systematic and sustainable scale up. So each committee have to work on this morning, but of course, next, please. Of course, for a concurrent session, we have some gaps to fill, especially for some topics in concurrent session. And
I think that area is the most important. If you could all listen to this particular slide.
So I will move to this slide. So for selection of the speakers for the 3 program committees, we need to take into account the competencies of the speaker. We need a strong profile for the thematic. We need also to take into account the geographic balance, gender balance, as our chair underlined in his introduction, and also languages balance. And we need speakers from Francophone region and Anglophone region in Africa, and from the different parts, the 5 parts of Africa. So we need to take this into account to select speakers. I think this is all what I have to share with you, and I will be very happy to take your question if you had any question to ask me before going for the different committee group. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I think that Professor Chakron, you've explained this in clear terms. So when we then go into our different committees, which we will shortly do, these are the areas that you must look at. Select only one plenary speaker per topic. Don't bring two, one, and then backups. Select two backup plenary speakers per topic. It's very, very important. And like I say, people whom you are confident that they will actually turn up. Provide email addresses. Some have not provided, they've given us physical addresses only. Doesn't work these days. Provide point persons. Who is this person who has suggested that name? And somebody who can work with. And I think those are critical issues that we should do. So any questions, any clarifications needed? Anybody wants to clarify anything? Anybody wants anything clarified or questions? If none, yes, Dr. Manzima.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Prof, for the presentation. Maybe there might be need for clarity in terms of the speakers. Are they local or international? Or it's just, it can be a mix? Thank you.
Can you emphasize that again?
I think international, including local speakers, but it would be international from Africa and outside Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, generally we blend them, but what we are proposing, what we used to do at the past ICASA is that we fill all the backup with the local, because we are sure that if the international did not show up, the local are there. This is what we used to do. Yeah, thank you.
There is a bit of advice. Try to have a backup, at least a local person. Doesn't mean they'll come, but it's better. It's better. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to understand what that means, local. Local means Zim or local means Africa?
Very, very interesting question.
Yeah, okay. When we say local, I will not say that it means Zim, but I want to say that we are all local, because I believe that I'm from Zimbabwe too, right? To be very clear, it means that the international experts are people out of Zimbabwe, right? And the local experts are people from Zimbabwe. They need to be backup of all the sessions. It's far better. And if they are very good and the committee decide that one of them should be the principal speaker, they should give them also the floor. Thank you.
But I think, look, it would be from Zimbabwe or the closest countries from Zimbabwe. If we don't have enough for backup, we can invite also from the closest.
It has been further clarified that yes, Zimbabwe, for an example, but even if there's regional nearness and you are confident of that regional nearness, is still okay. But when you said Zimbabwe, I saw Professor Chirenje Gom. But that's good. Okay. Any other clarifications needed?
Mr. Chair, can I take the floor online?
Okay, online. Can we have your contribution?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is Joy Macri from UNA. Actually, I have 2 points. Given that the conference is going to be hybrid, are we also welcoming plenary speakers to be speaking online, even though I would understand that we would give preference for people to be physically participating. But if we have a very senior, knowledgeable on this specific matter who is unable to travel in person, would we then be open to get the participant to participate online? My other point actually is just a reminder what the chair told us at the beginning, how when we select the plenary speakers, we also focus on the balances, the gender balance, and also the geographical balance. I was quite happy to see some friends from Western Central Africa, Francophone Africa. I'm happy to see my brother, Professor Chakron from North Africa, but I feel that we probably need to ensure that we have a good balance because ICASA is pan-continental. Thank you.
clearly, yes, Professor Shakron, it is clear that
Clear, very
your
clear.
virtual
Thank you.
speakers, yeah, want to respond?
No, but we advise we advocate for balance from gender, from languages, and from region from Africa. I think we have to include all parts of Africa, all region of Africa, and also Africa is French country and English country, and there is another languages in Africa, but we will focus on this, and ICASA is French and English conference. Thank you.
Yes, you want to respond to the issue of who can virtually speak? Yep.
If you see very well the ICASA program, even the documentation that we share with the ISC committee meeting, okay, you will notice that ICASA is hybrid meeting. Since 2021, we decided that ICASA should be hybrid because we noticed that there are a lot of people who cannot afford to come, right? Then we need to give them also the possibility to attend the meeting virtually. It means what? It means that we can also have the plenary speaker or every session speaker virtually. Yeah, we have a provision for that. Thank you.
Just I have to clarify that MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, is a region divided in two parts. Many countries are from Africa, 7 or 9 countries, I think, and other countries are from Asia. Though this is very important to not forget this region, because many regions from Morocco to Djibouti, Somalia, and Sudan are from Africa and should be included in ICASA also and involved in ICASA. This is my
Well, in the past, we have also included those of African origin in the diaspora, so that everybody is included, and even those who speak, we include everybody. From USA, where are those from the USA? Yeah, those ones with 2 hands up there, they are all welcome to contribute, and of course to be speakers or to nominate speakers. Okay, Professor, any more? All right, at this juncture, let's give him a hand of applause. At this juncture, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who in fact is our Deputy Minister of Health and Child Care in Zimbabwe, Dr. John Mangwiro. Dr. John Mangwiro is a well-known doctor here. He's a physician. He has got a constituency. He's a member of parliament. But he's also a very able speaker. He's representing our minister here, and we are happy that you are here, sir. It's your turn to address us. Yes. Good.
Thank you, Dr. Parinyatwa, the ICASA Chair President. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health and Child Care in absentia. That's Dr. Jasper Chimedza. Honorable Senator, again, Dr. Pagwese David Parinyatwa, the SAA President, who is also ICASA 2023 President, and the SAA Board of Trustees and board members here present. The ICASA 2023 Director, it's okay. Mr. Luke Bodia and your team. The Head of Local Secretariat, Dr. Bernard Mazima and your team, UN family and other strategic partners here present. the chairs and co-chairs of the various program committees, members of the various committees, other invited partners, distinguished guests, of course, members of the media fraternity, the fourth state, and ladies and gentlemen. Today is my singular honor to be here to welcome you to the second International Steering Committee meeting here in the capital of Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe. This is the venue for ICASA 2023. We are pleased to note that exactly 1 month when the Society for AIDS in Africa has declared Zimbabwe the host of ICASA 2023, we are able to hold the first International Steering Committee meeting in Victoria Falls. Remember, in that meeting, we came up with our theme for the ICASA 2023. AIDS is not over. We must also address inequalities, and we must accelerate inclusion and innovation as a continent. As we come together, we do hope we will be able to draft the conference budget, which we will use in resource mobilization. I am glad to advise that as Zimbabwe, our commitment still stands, as we say. Thus, the conference, with your support, we will be a big success for Africa. As we continue to mobilize resources in cash and kind, we are also ready to receive you in your numbers, in the spirit of not leaving anyone behind in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Our great pride is our people, who are as hospitable and ready to serve and offer a great experience during the preparatory phase and the conference time and the post-conference time as well. We believe by the end of the two-day meeting, we will have the ICASA 2023 plenary speakers, finalize the current sessions, as well as validate scholarship criteria, among other things on the agenda. The program looks pegged, but we are confident that you will manage to finish in time for you to tour the city. I re-emphasize, you must tour the city of Harare. It's very important. There's interesting features, interesting things to see and take up on. Mr. President said, this conference must guide us as a continent how we will end AIDS by 2030. This is very important. The fact that we are able to gather and look forward and move things as Africa is very important. This will definitely reduce dependence on other sides of the earth. As Africa, we must design our own solutions to end diseases based on the existing knowledge we already have. We must assist each other as African countries in health strengthening systems, which is cost-effective and efficient. So before we run to other continents, let's look into ourselves so that we become strong as a continent. United as Africa we stand. So also, a healthy continent is a wealthy continent. Why? Because we have the natural resources we can use to solve our challenges. I'm sure Africa, you know, has got the largest deposit of all kinds of minerals. It's time we need to use them for local continental development rather than to look out to others to come and solve our own problems. We have what it takes to lead this continent out of the woods. The fact that we are now gathering like this means we are able and can solve our own problems as a continent. We need to be confident and stand firm as a continent, and united we'll be able to solve most of our problems because we have the capacity, we have the knowledge, we have the minerals, we have the wealth. All we need to do as a continent is come together and do what is supposed to be done as Africa. Once again, let me welcome you to Harare. I want to tell you also about Harare. There are beautiful game parks around, small ones, but you'll be able to see a lot of things around the city. And those who will be lucky can move around and see all these things for themselves. And it is now my singular honor to declare the second International Steering Committee for ICASA 2023 officially opened. I thank you. Merci. Ndambantula. Amaseginalo. Shukran. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank our Deputy Minister, a very grounded speech, which encourages us as Africans to be proud of ourselves, to be self-sufficient, to look more into ourselves rather than keep on looking outside. So I want to thank you very much for that encouragement and for accepting that Zimbabwe will host this in the fullest way that they can. At this juncture, I would like now to divide ourselves into groups: scientific, community, and leadership before tea. I know people are looking at tea. No, not tea yet. Let's go to these groups. So while the momentum is still on, and then thereafter we can have tea. I will ask Luke to just guide us in how we're dividing ourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to inform you that we have 2 rooms plus this one. It means that we have 3 rooms for the breakaway. This room will be for the scientific committee. After the scientific committee, we have the leadership committee. We have Jacaranda, just at the right side for the leadership committee. And after Jacaranda, we have Masasa for the community committee. Let me repeat again. For the scientific committee, we have this room, this plenary room for the scientific committee. And for the leadership committee, we have Jacaranda 3. Leadership committee, our right.
No, just
Okay, here. Okay. Then we have a community committee at Masasa, left, right. Yeah. And what we have to do is to fill the gap for the plenary session, especially select the best speaker, as my president has said, and 2 backups for the session, and 1 point focal person, point person or focal person. This is what we are asking to do. And we have normally 45 minutes to do that. I believe that we can do it with less than that because we have all we need to select the best speaker for our plenary session. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. I would like to see who is the chairperson of the scientific committee. Can they own up? Scientific committee chair? Where is the scientific committee chair? Professor Shakron, are you not the scientific committee chair? Ah. And who is the co-chair? Yeah, can you say who you are?
Yeah, Mike Chirenje, University of Zimbabwe.
Sorry?
Mike Chirenje, University of Zimbabwe. Department of-
Yeah, he's Professor Chirenje. They speak professorially, but that's him. The chairperson of the leadership committee. Leadership. Can we see them, please? Look, who is the leadership committee chair?
And
Chair,
online, but my co-chair will lead for me.
exactly.
I'm online, Safia too.
Yeah, she's online. It's Safia.
Mm.
The co-chair is-
PM.
the
But
co-chair
my
is-
co-chair will
Who is the co-chair?
the co-chair is not here.
No, please, can you on up?
It's there, but
But I'm here.
Yeah, here. Thank you, Dr. Mgurungi.
Thank you.
What about the,
Thank you for saying my name.
which one is left? The leadership.
the leadership.
Leadership, the community chair. Thank you. And the co-chair. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Okay, so it has been clarified. The scientific will be here. Next door is leadership. Then if you go just next to it is the community. It's written Masasa room. So can we now? The guidance for this exercise is on page 36 on your book, in your booklets. You'll find the guidance there. So can we go there and then we convene? Do we come here? Let's convene. Shall we call the meeting to order? Let's settle so that we can progress again. Thank you. We're looking forward to the presentations from the groups. So we'll call obviously one by one. Oh. So the first report will come from the leadership committee. Then after that, we will have the community committee. And lastly, it will be the scientific committee. So those are representing the leadership committee. Please, can you come and present to us?
Yeah, he's coming, Chair. But as he walks up to the podium, the leadership, you'll find out that the leadership subcommittee has made very important and interesting nominations. I won't say much, but I think you hear from our rapporteur. And of course, we believe in leadership. And
Okay.
the nominations will show you that who are the people best to lead us. Thank you.
Let's see this interesting scenario of leadership. So shall we give you now to present? Just identify yourself and go on. Where is the is the rapporteur there? Who is there? Where is the mic? Or you can come to the podium here. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. As the slides are coming up, the leadership team decided that it was important to put women at the forefront. So you'll find that we took quite. Oh, sorry. My name is Bothwell Pindiwe with Chai Zimbabwe. Bothwell Pindiwe with Chai Zimbabwe, Hinton Health Access Initiative. So working on the leadership pillar. So you'll find that most of the speakers, like the key speakers, are going to be women for us. I think on the first slide. So some key discussions that started off were really on what we should be looking at as we're thinking of our speakers. The next slide. All right, so while the slides are getting ready, I think we looked at the organization and what role they play within the HIV ecosystem globally, as well as the individual and their level of expertise. So you'll see that the names that are there, we took some opportunity to sort of like discuss this, and also some names came up then making our choices. I think on the next slide, as we're looking at innovative financing for HIV in the context of universal healthcare, what works? Calypso Chalikdu from Global Fund is going to be the lead speaker, while Daniel Mwai and Charles Birungi would be the backup speakers. And when we now look at the refocusing HIV finance, in closing the HIV equity gaps.
Sorry, who are the backup speakers?
Daniel Mwai, who is with the UN.
See, there is, my name is not here.
Right there?
Oh, Daniel Mwai.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then Charles Birungi from UNAIDS. Yes, and then in terms of refocusing HIV finance, in closing HIV equity gaps in Africa and prevention. So we've got Her Excellency, Mrs. Monica Gaingob, I think, Gaingos, all right, from Namibia, given her interest in adolescents and also work within the finance space as well. And the backups are going to be Dr. Kitinji Kitahi for AMREF, and then the Deputy Minister of Health from Egypt, Hatim. Next slide. So in terms of supporting innovation and people-centered integrated responses to end AIDS, Ambassador John Gegasom from PEPFAR will be the lead speaker on this one, given PEPFAR's interest in this area. And then Guisao M.E. Tupin from Endasante will also be there, taking care of the Francophone interest as well. And then Imon Murphy, who from UNAIDS, is the second backup speaker. And then as we move over to from Putik to systematic and sustainable scale-up, the case for HIV prevention, I think a lot of the conversation was, do we look at it from a case study perspective or looking at it at a global space? But the enormous work that has been done within Kenya, I put Dr. Ruth Laibon Masha from Kenya as a key speaker here. And then the Minister of Health within Zimbabwe would be the backup speaker, given Zimbabwe's experience in terms of reducing new HIV infections. And then Anorita Baines, who's the Associate Director HIV for UNICEF, given their work in terms of HIV prevention across the board structure. And then the last pillar, pandemic preparedness response, Dr. Johanna Pumapi from ALMA, given the work that she's currently working on in terms of pandemic preparedness on the framework, is going to be the lead speaker, while the Deputy Minister of South Africa, Sibongiseni Ndlovu, would be the first backup speaker, and Dr. Kasera Kadondi would be the second backup speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. What about the point persons?
So we were going to put those on later.
You will?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from the committee on those nominations? Any comments? Endorsements?
Yes, I have a comment.
Okay, is that virtual? Yeah, go on.
This is Paul from Frontline X.
Right.
I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I will speak in French so that there will be some balance then. Bon, alors, donc, merci beaucoup pour le comité leadership qui est mon comité. C'est mon comité, mais j'avais des problèmes techniques et je n'ai pas pu participer aux travaux. Et quand j'ai pu participer, c'était la fin des, des travaux, donc je suis obligé de faire mon commentaire ici. Oh, stop my video. Okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
OK. Donc, moi, je voulais relever le fait que aujourd'hui, nous intervenons beaucoup avec les jeunes et nous investissons également sur le leadership des jeunes. J'aurais souhaité que dans les sessions plénières où le leadership présente ses orateurs, que nous ayons au moins un orateur jeune, parce que je pense que ce serait bien aussi de donner la parole aux jeunes dans des instances de ce genre, dans des conférences de ce genre. Je sais qu'il y a la conférence des jeunes, etc. Mais comme ICASA, c'est quand même notre affaire à nous tous, acteurs de la réponse au VIH, qu'on soit jeunes, femmes, population clé, personnes avec le VIH, etc. Ce serait bien, à mon avis, qu'on ait au moins un orateur jeune, mais dans le groupe de leadership. Et je pensais à la thématique numéro 4. Si la suggestion est possible, je pourrais peut-être proposer un orateur si cela est possible. Merci.
Thank you. Have you got a name of someone young? Have you got a name? Proposé?
Oh, pardon? Oh, sorry, I'm talking to me. Oh, yeah. I can suggest someone, maybe not now, but I can suggest someone to the leadership committee if they agree, yeah.
Okay, send us the name.
Yes, we have someone from Y Plus we can suggest. Yeah.
Okay, we will wait. We'll wait to hear, or we'll await your suggestions.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Dr. Mgurungi.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so thank you, Chair. On the comments of the last speaker, of course, we had to work with what was in the document. So our choice was made from persons or nominations that were in this document. But however, I think they can suggest, and I think we can look at that. The second issue that I wanted to say was, I mean, if you look at that, we have 4 women out of 5 key speakers. And this is what I referred to, that I think the leadership is with women now. And we really endorse that as the leadership committee, that we chose 4 women out of 5.
Thank you. Congratulations for considering gender positively. Well, let's go to the community presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Merci beaucoup. Alors, je vais parler en français. Sur la base des critères qui ont été définis, et notamment sur la balance qu'il fallait faire entre les différentes régions et également au niveau des langues, nous avons examiné la liste des orateurs qui nous a été proposée. Et je dois dire que l'accent a été principalement mis sur la pertinence et la capacité de l'orateur à pouvoir assumer ce rôle. Parce que c'est fondamental. Au-delà de la présence, au-delà de la disponibilité, c'est surtout la prestance, la capacité de convaincre que nous avons pris en compte. Et au regard de cela, nous avons fait le travail. Nous avons pu avoir pour chaque thème un speaker et 2 backups. Et nous avons également pu identifier le point focal qui aura pour rôle de suivre ce processus-là et de s'assurer que les orateurs seront disponibles et de s'assurer que le contenu sera effectivement pertinent. Donc, sans plus tarder, je m'en vais vous lire les noms. Pour la thématique portant sur les ripostes basées sur des données communautaires, qu'est-ce qui fonctionne en mettant en relief les populations clés et vulnérables pendant la période COVID-19? Le groupe tout entier a choisi Richard Luzimbo. Il est de l'Ouganda et il travaille au sein du consortium des populations clés. Donc, c'est lui que nous avons proposé, étant entendu qu'il s'est agi de donner la parole aux populations clés. Et il est un représentant des populations clés capable justement de porter le message. Nous avons ensuite proposé 2 backups et parmi les backups, nous avons proposé une francophone, Dr Madiara, qui est de la Côte d'Ivoire. Donc, en cas de défaillance, nous pensons que Dr Madiara pourrait bien jouer ce rôle. Pour la deuxième thématique, concernant les nouvelles infections à VIH, comment s'attaquer à la crise de prévention du VIH et accélérer l'accès aux services et autres outils de prévention biomédicale pour les femmes, les adolescentes et les jeunes. Nous avons également cherché à avoir quelqu'un qui pourra porter justement le message. Et il s'agit de Maximina Yokonya que nous avions proposé et qui travaille justement pour la coalition des jeunes positifs. Et comme backup, nous avons également choisi un francophone du Cameroun, Patrick Fouda, qui est connu, très strong. Et donc, en cas de défaillance, nous pensons que Patrick Fouda du Cameroun pourrait jouer ce rôle. Pour la troisième thématique, portant sur les questions de SRH, en français et en anglais, comprendre l'importance de l'implication des jeunes dans le développement et la mise en œuvre de toutes les politiques dédiées à la santé reproductive et les questions de droit. Nous avons proposé Dr Liliane Benjamin de Youth Plus Coalition également, et nous avons pensé que le backup principal pourrait être Dr Mouziamba, que nous avons proposé. Pour la quatrième thématique, qui porte sur la riposte menée par les personnes vivant avec le VIH et également qui relève les questions de mobilisation de ressources domestiques, j'avoue que le choix n'a pas été facile parce que nous avions eu des propositions pertinentes sur des speakers qui pourraient parler de cette problématique-là, surtout en mettant en relief les questions de mobilisation de ressources domestiques. Mais le groupe a choisi de faire porter la parole par les personnes vivant avec le VIH. Et pour faire un bon équilibre, étant entendu que les premiers speakers qui ont été choisis étaient pour la majorité des anglophones. Nous avons choisi de mettre une francophone à la personne de Christine Kafando, que beaucoup connaissent et qui est du Burkina Faso. Et pour le backup numéro 1, nous avions proposé Tatenda Makoni, qui, nous le pensons, pourrait également délivrer le message. Et enfin, pour la 5e thématique, sur les questions.
Sorry, who was the speaker? What's the main speaker?
The main speaker, she is from Burkina Faso and named Christine Kafando. Christine Kafando. Évidemment, je dois signaler à ce niveau qu'elle ne faisait pas partie de la liste qu'on nous avait initialement proposée et nous sommes allés chercher, voir quelle est la francophone qui pourrait porter, évidemment, en tout cas parler de cette thématique de la manière la plus pertinente et nous sommes tous tombés d'accord sur ce nom. Et donc, dernière proposition sur la thématique, sur la reconnaissance du handicap dans le continuum de soins liés au VIH, nous avions tous proposé, avec son accord, Yadma Fall, qui représente la Fédération des organisations de personnes vivant avec un handicap, donc pour l'Afrique de l'Ouest, et il a accepté de jouer ce rôle. Donc celui-là, déjà, on peut boucler. Il a déjà confirmé sa disponibilité. Et nous avions quand même retenu 2 backups. Il s'agit de Jacques Léotte, que nous avons proposé, et de Bruce Nioni comme backup. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et membres du Présidium, telles sont les propositions retenues par le programme communautaire pour les 5 thématiques des plénières. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. Can you clarify, did you select 2 people from the same organizations as main speakers from the same organization?
That's exactly the case. That's exactly the case, Mr. President.
I think
and
we
I
need to
think that
spread it
from that
out.
room, okay, Madam Chair.
Wait, don't shake me. Neutral. Yeah, I think that we need a spread. It's only fair. We don't think it's fair to use, especially for one thematic area. We need to spread it out a bit. Yes, you wanted to feed us in?
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je crois qu'au niveau du groupe, nous n'avions pas fait attention aux détails du fait qu'ils étaient de même groupe. Je crois que c'est quelque chose qu'il faut considérer. Mais on avait porté l'intérêt sur le fait qu'on voudrait, sur les 5 intervenants, outre les autres critères spécifiques d'expertise et d'appartenance au groupe concerné par la thématique, on voulait s'assurer qu'on a aussi bien les anglophones que les francophones. Donc, on a eu 2 francophones pour les main speakers et les autres sont des anglophones. Et s'il s'avère qu'ils sont de la même organisation, la suggestion serait qu'on nous laisse avant la fin de la journée de trouver un remplaçant francophone qui soit valable et qui réponde aux autres critères. Je vous remercie.
Okay, fine. But I think in future, really. Somebody wanted to comment?
So,
Yes.
Chair, thank you very much. And if there is where we have 2 people from the same organization, we did not see that, and definitely we have to go back and make a decision. We cannot have 2 people from the same organization. Apologies for that. We didn't see that in the group.
You know, there are so many organizations and we can't really select from the same organization. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much from the community group. I think we are seeing some of the some of the changes in the presentation. I think we have to go back as a group and really have consensus. Thank you.
Okay. Any other addition? Yes.
No, sorry, because some of us from the community program just want to know what the two people from the same organization, please. Innocent, est-ce que tu peux clarifier pour nous, s'il te plaît?
Can back the presentation so that you can actually put
actually on the screen.
Alors, très bien. Vous voyez, le rôle du rapporteur, c'est que quand tout le monde a fini de parler, on s'en va, on vous laisse régler les choses. Alors, quand j'ai commencé à retenir les noms qui ont été validés et à mettre les organisations, c'est en ce moment-là que moi-même, je me suis rendu compte qu'il y avait deux qui étaient de la même organisation. Et il s'agit principalement de Maximina. Je crois qu'ensemble, tout le monde était d'accord qu'il fallait proposer Maximina comme key speaker. On est tous d'accord là-dessus. On va voir Liliane, s'il vous plaît. Liliane. Mais... Docteur Liliane. Pardon. C'est exactement la même chose. On était tous d'accord que docteur Liliane. Est-ce que vous pouvez me laisser terminer après? Elle n'est pas de cette organisation. Et pourquoi? Donc, il y a eu un problème sur les documents. Sur la base du document qui nous a été partagé, OK, so, si elle n'est pas de cette organisation, parce que moi, le document que j'ai, c'est ça, mais si elle n'est pas de cette organisation, si nous confirmons qu'elle n'est pas de cette organisation, je crois qu'il n'y a plus de problème.
Okay, I think.
Très bien. OK. Donc, s'il n'y a pas, si vraiment elle n'est pas de cette organisation, il n'y a plus de souci. Très bien.
Oui, tout à fait.
Look,
je suis d'accord.
Look.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can see that the community is very passionate. You know, it happens sometimes, but it's not a problem. We can fix it. It's very simple. Just after this plenary at the secretarial level, we will Google and call and find out where this speaker is from. Then we fix it. Please. Thank you so much for your understanding. Thank you.
Okay, we'll fix it. Okay, any other comment? All right, if none, I will now go to the scientific committee.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm speaking after the passionate community, but yeah, I'm going to deliver. My name is Nyaradzo Mgodi. I'm from the University of Zimbabwe, from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. So I'm presenting on behalf of the scientific program group on behalf of Prof. Shukran, Prof. Chirenje, and the rest of the team. So our aim was really to select charismatic speakers, speakers who are world-renowned scientists who will not only discuss science from basic science, implementation science, but who are crowd pullers. Ideally, we should have had brief bios on the proposed speakers, but in the absence of bios, we used our collective knowledge of the speakers as well as we Googled the speakers so that we could have an objective determination of speakers. Next slide, please. So for plenary 1, next slide. So for the fast-tracking pandemic vaccines, a lesson learned from COVID-19 to HIV vaccine development. Our first speaker is Glenda Gray. She's the president of the South African Medical Research Council, and she's really a charismatic speaker. She's an advocate. She's a pediatrician. She's a good speaker, a great speaker, and she's got close ties to Zimbabwe, just being in South Africa. And our point person for Glenda Gray is Mike Chirenje. I've had to drop the doctors, the professors, the reverends, the pastors, all those descriptors. I'm just going to use Mike Chirenje here. But I forgot to delete Prof from the backup. Mohammed Bakari from Muhimbili University of Health and Allied Sciences. Our point person is Said Mpendu. Said is here. Please take note, he's down there. Please take note of your assignments, Said Mpendu. And our second backup for the first plenary is Tumbi Ndungu. He's a Kenyan, but in South Africa, very a world-renowned immunologist and vaccinologist. And I'm the point person for Tumbi Ndungu. So this is the first plenary. Next slide, please. Now we move on to delivery and access to innovative biomedical interventions in line with our theme for ICASA, removing barriers. This morning we heard Honorable Deputy Minister speaking about Afrocentric solutions to African problems by Africans. So we need to build capacity in Africa in terms of prevention, diagnostics, therapeutics, adherence. Our first speaker for second plenary, Gerald Macharia from Clinton Health Access. Our point person is here, Bothwell. I hope you know that Bothwell, you are the point person for Gerald. And our backup was Solange Baptiste from ITPC and our very own Linda Gelbecker. Though she's South African, Zimbabwe trained, she was at our university. Linda Gelbecker from Desmond Tutu Health Foundation in South Africa, and I'm the point person. Next slide, please. On to the third plenary session. In line with leaving no one behind, we also need to discuss finding the missing targets. What more should we do for HIV, TB, STIs, and hepatitis? Our first speaker, Karaisha Abdul Karim from Caprisa, another very passionate advocate, scientist, world-renowned scientist. She's done a lot of work in terms of HIV, TB, STIs, hepatitis, the works. She's from Caprisa, our first speaker, and our point persons, Angela Mshavi here and myself. Our backup is our very own Tsitsi Apollo from the Ministry of Health and Child Care, and we have Auxilia Mchedzi to get hold of Tsitsi. Second backup, Elizabeth Bukusi, another world-renowned, and I see we were very female in terms of this plenary because all our three presenters here are females. But our second backup is Elizabeth Bukusi, an obstetrician and gynecologist from Kenya Medical Research Institute and University of Washington, another great scientist, advocate, charismatic speaker, a crowd puller, and I'll be the point person. I think we are going on to our last slide. Next slide, please. Second last. So the fourth plenary is human-centered inclusion of key and vulnerable populations and implementation of differentiated service delivery approaches to overcome barriers. Our first speaker is Merdi Kakuri from Coalition Plus, and our very own chair, Prof. Mohammed Shakrun, will be the point person. Our backup is Bruno Spire from INSEM. Also point person is Prof. Shakrun here. And then our second backup is Salome Sharalambos. Apologies for that. She is from Oram and Wits, though we don't have a point person, but we do have close allies at both Oram and Wits. So if we need to get hold of her, we'll definitely find her. On to our last slide, the fifth plenary, looking at monoclonal antibodies. We need to have to optimize innovative pediatric therapeutics and prevention. Our first speaker is Linda Stranix Chibanda, a friend, a colleague. She's a very charismatic, passionate pediatrician, clinical trial specialist, ethicist. She's a charismatic speaker. So that's our first speaker, backed up by our very own Dr. Mushavi here from the Ministry of Health and Child Care. The very last speaker here, I've highlighted them in red. They were not listed within the working document, but they were proposed by some speakers, some conference attendees online. This is Amina Goga from South Africa. She's also very good in terms of broadly neutralizing antibodies and other innovative pediatric therapeutics. So would need special permission if we are going to include her, because she was not listed in the working document. Chairs, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mgodi. It was very clear. Any comments, questions? Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you very much, Chair. My observation as names were being read out, I got the impression that it wasn't as diversified as one would expect for an international conference. They are basically, the speakers are basically from two main countries. And I was wondering whether nothing can be done to address that. It's clearly dominated just by two countries. And I don't think it gives us the international, the continental and international flair that we require.
Okay, before you respond, I think your co-chair, your chair professor wants to say something.
Thank you very much, President. First of all, I would like to thank all scientific committee members for their great contribution on this short session. For the selection of the speakers, we considered for first of all, the expertise, the high level of expertise and the strong knowledge of the speaker. And the second one was to ensure inclusion and balance between gender, region, and language. It was not a very easy exercise. And as you said, we select a high level expertise speaker from 2 countries or 3 countries, and from more especially one region. So we do our best, and we apologize if we cannot be able to fully respect languages and geographic balance. And we will be very happy to answer to take your question or clarification or suggestion. Also, if you have any other suggestion, we can look for that. But based on what we had on the first row for the main speakers and the second row for the backup speakers, this is what we can did. Thank you very much.
Okay, you want to follow up on that issue?
I wanted to ask a question. Do we have any? I think I like the speakers that you proposed firstly, all very world renowned. Don't we have young scientists? I mean, we have been hearing these people over and over and over again. So, I mean, they might not be on this list. I mean, they are the scientists. I mean, they might know. Just
Okay, those are two questions. Is that related at the corner there? No? Okay.
I think I'm just the spokesperson, but young is relative. We have got scientists who are young at heart, but the point well taken. But I think Linda Stranix is young, relatively young. Yes, but point well taken. Prof. Chirenje.
No, I just wanted to echo what the chair said. I mean, this is a very high level conference, and you cannot dilute it just by choosing somebody who hasn't got a strong CV. That's paramount. So you really have to go for the best scientists. If somebody has no knowledge of executing a trial on BNABs, then they're going to read in a book and they want to give it people who just won't turn up. So that scientific merit is what drove these speakers, nothing else but scientific merit in their CVs. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Angela.
I wanted to add that, to respond to the question on young scientists, maybe we should have something on young scientists presenting their work rather than saying necessarily you become a plenary speaker because you are young. I don't know if it makes sense, but you can have a session where you have your junior researchers, upcoming researchers, and they present.
Okay. You want to say something? Look, come on. Yeah, go on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, it's very passionate when you see the community talking about young scientists. That's normal. We have a slot for young scientists through the abstract, the call for abstract, and it goes also with award. The best abstract coming from the young scientists have an award of something like $2,000, really. And this is where we want them to see them, to grow them before they can be like our chairman and vice chair. Thank you.
Yes.
Just to add, I think this is an area where maybe issues of youth or gender, maybe they need to take maybe a back seat if we're going to get the best in those fields. But it's fortunate that I see also there's a gender mix there. Thank you.
Okay, the scientific committee has tried to defend themselves, particularly in the issue of the regional balance. I think, to be fair, if there are any suggestions from anywhere in terms of high level people, then yes, let them. You're not hearing me. Okay, I was just saying that the scientific committee has done well, tried very hard to defend themselves, but they are lacking in terms of that regional balance. The two countries that are referred to are mostly here, South Africa and Zimbabwe. Now, it would be good if there's anybody here or who has got names of high-powered scientists who may be considered by this committee, failing which we will then accept what you have already proffered to us. Okay. Having said that, I think let's move on, unless there's another.
Chair?
Yes.
Could you please allow me?
Yes, I can
Yes.
allow you.
Thank you very much. I see on these programs no speakers from UN agencies. So I think it's very important as UN agencies as our first partner and big partner. We need to find solution for this. What do you think?
I think is that the UN agencies usually come in the opening ceremony. So we give them a slot, we'll open and in the satellites, yes, and in the satellite. Yes, Professor, you're right to notice it. This is really just the plenaries in terms of But when you put up the program, you will see that there are slots that we have left out, opening remarks and also keynote speakers and such people. They will be accommodated. Yes.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais juste m'assurer que la commission scientifique va recevoir certaines propositions parce que j'ai deux noms, une dame et un homme, des scientifiques de haut niveau, mais je voudrais vérifier quelques détails avant de pouvoir avancer. Le premier, c'est Jean-Jacques Mouyembe, qui est une sommité dans le domaine de l'immunologie, y compris au niveau africain et mondial, et qui travaille principalement au niveau de la RDC pour la partie francophone. Mais je voudrais vérifier certains détails pour pouvoir m'approcher de la commission scientifique. Mais ça serait important qu'on ait cette balance parce que ça serait vraiment incorrect de penser que le monde francophone n'a pas de scientifiques de haut niveau. Ça serait aberrant de penser que 3 pays seulement, l'Afrique du Sud, le Zimbabwe et le Kenya. Ça serait aberrant pour l'Afrique. Merci beaucoup.
Our trustee, come in, Dr. Skum.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you give us, timeline, I think we can work with the colleagues and propose very top level scientists from the Francophone region. So, but we need to have the okay from you and the deadline.
The okay is there. Dr. Mgodi, you are listening, and Professor Chirenje and Professor Shakron. Yes, at the corner there.
Thank you, Chair. So mine is just an observation on the session topics. I know probably this has been discussed at length, but looking at number 3, it says finding the missing targets. And then number 4 talks about human-centered response. So for me, I'm looking at the language, whether we can then say maybe the communities that we're looking for, that they are targets. So I think let's also look at that so that we synchronize our language and also make it a bit more friendly in terms of communities.
And noted. Any other? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So I think that talking about renowned scientists also depends on the topics that you pick. If you have only 5 plenary topics, definitely you are not going to cover a lot of your scientists. But secondly, I think we should be fair to the scientific committee. There was a request for people to make nominations, and we worked with the nominations that we got. So I want to appeal to the general body. When the request comes from the secretariat that make nominations, please, let's all bring our nominations, because now we have to backtrack to fill in the gaps. But please, when the request comes, it was extended, the deadline was extended, and still the nominations didn't come. So please, let's all work together to make the work easier for the secretariat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Margaret. I think, why are you clapping so hard? Yes, it is true that the deadline was extended for nominations and people did not respond. So, but having said all that, we can still relook at it. Okay. Yes.
Mr. President, I think what Margaret said applies to all the committees. I think in the community committee, we also face that problem whereby new names were now coming in, yet people were not responding. I remember very well when the deadline was being extended and people were not responding, and people were even encouraged to send the call to their various networks and people are not responding. How then do we handle that? We are setting a precedent. So we need to ensure that we handle this properly.
Let's handle it properly so that we don't do it again next time. This should be the last time. Okay. Okay. Luke, can you just give us the technical part of the deadline?
Thank you, sir. I'm very happy about the intervention of Prof. Margaret, because we sent a lot of communication out. We sent a lot of communication out for call for proposal, both for thematic and speakers, just to avoid all this thing, so that we can have the 5 regional representatives when we are drafting the program. I would like to call the Francophone community to really respond to email, because people are thinking that ICASA is English conference. It's not true. ICASA is bilingual. But if you Francophone, you are not sending your comment, you are not responding to email, we can't do anything at the secretarial level. We can't. And we have numbers of organizations in our database. We have more than 25,000 people, both English and Francophone, in the database. But most of the people who respond to the database are English people. The Francophone people, they are always silent. And let me also thank the president for allow for the first time that we should open up and reconsider the scientific plenary session. Otherwise, if you want to stick to the procedure and this rule for ICASA, this plenary topic is settled. Saying that, we can open up till this evening. If you have any suggestion, please kindly send it to the chair and the co-chair, or send it to the secretariat. The link is there. You have all the link, so that we can coordinate with the chair and co-chair and finalize. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup. So it's opened up to tomorrow. It means by this evening. When you come back in the morning, we will be finalizing that in terms of announcing. So it's a good thing. Open up for until this evening. It's a good thing. Okay, let's go to the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much, chairpersons and committees. You have worked hard. And if you look at our agenda, final presentation of plenary speakers has been done. Session 6, validation by program committees. I think it's the same thing. We're on session 6, fixing gaps and validation by program committees. What do you expect them to do here? Huh? It's you. Yeah, they've already done it.
What we have done is a plenary. Now is the parallel session.
What do they, or the parallel session? This just for the, that's Okay, we had a break of tea and there were a lot of snacks. People were eating, I saw them, people eating a lot of sandwiches. So we need to do some more work. Now we've got what we call parallel sessions. We had wanted to have done them all at the same time when you broke into groups, but we felt we needed to really distinguish so that there's no confusion. So we're now asking you for another 25, 30 minutes. Go, and this is a very high-powered session of the parallel sessions. If you look on page, just page 50, 57. Yeah, 57. The same groups, but now it's a different thing now. We are looking at parallel sessions, managing TB in children, epidemic and non-communicable diseases. So it's really strong. High incidence of gender-based violence and so on and so forth. Zoonotic infections, so it's quite, so you need to go back into your sessions, but are they all under leadership community? Who's going to present? So for that, just to warm us up, I'll ask Luke Bodia to just present that to us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. In fact, I just want to explain a bit because so that people will not be confused. You know, ICASA is 5 days, but is segregated within plenary topic and parallel session. What we have done this morning, it was the plenary topic. Now, the parallel session, we need to deal with it, but the parallel session is segmented into 3. We have what we call the non-abstract driving session. We have the special session, and we have also the workshop. Let me give you a bit of glance of the Gordon, the presentation. And we call for proposal. We send the proposal out for all the international community and all the region in Africa to send their proposed topics and proposed speakers for those sessions. Next slide. And when we send the call out, we receive several proposals from the 5 regions of Africa and also abroad. And then we compile all the proposals, and you have it in your book. You will see page 56 or 57. You will see all the proposals from the 3 committees. You know, ICASA is organized by 3 committees: leadership, community, and scientific. Then what we want to do, we go again in the breakaway session, you know, your session rooms, so that you can finalize the parallel session for ICASA 2023. And the parallel session goes with the thematic and also the selected speakers. They are in the book already, but you need to select in the various committee. For example, for the leadership committee, we receive, in terms of non-abstract driving session, we receive 14 propositions. In terms of special session, we receive 9 propositions. And in terms of workshop, we receive 5. What we have to do, you need to select 6 for non-abstract driving session out of this scientific. Can you go to the first one I was talking about? Is it leadership? The leadership, exactly. You need to select 6 sessions out of 14. Non-abstract, yeah, for non-abstract driving session. And in terms of special session, you need to select 5 out of 9 proposals that we receive across the region. And in terms of workshop, you need to select 3 out of 5 proposals for leadership. Yeah. It's important because we receive across the 5 regions and the globe, we receive 14 propositions in terms of non-attract driving session for ICASA 2023. And we want the leadership committee to select only 6 out of the 14. The 6 should speak directly, the topics should speak directly, the thematics, and look at the trends of the health system in Africa globally. And we also need you to select 5 special sessions out of 9 proposals. And for the leadership, the last job is to select 3 workshops out of 5 propositions that we receive. This for leadership. Next slide. For the scientific committee, we receive 13 propositions from non-abstract driving session. And we need to do the same things. We have to select 6 out of the 14. And we need to validate also 5 out of 12 propositions received for special session. And the last parallel session is a workshop. We need to select 3 workshops out of 10 proposals that we receive. This for scientific program. Next program, community program. For the community committee, the community program, we received 38 propositions. Let me reassure you that the proposition that you sent will not be thrown away, even if it's not selected. It's part of our database, and we are using it for webinars and other workshops and other programs for SAR and ICASA. They don't think that we select those ones and the one that is not selected is just thrown away. No, it's very, very important for the organization to maintain and work with them. Then we have to select for leader, for community, we have to select at least the maximum of 6 propositions out of 38. And for the special session, we need to select 5 out of 13 propositions. And for workshop, we need to select 3 workshops out of 14. Now, we know our session rooms. With the permission of the chair, we call the various committee to kindly join their session room and to help us to do the best selection of parallel session for ICASA 2023. Thank you.
"45 minutes. So this is important. I think when you select what should help you is how far that topic addresses the theme. That should be one of the major areas. How far does it look at the theme? So I want to, any comments, Professor Flo?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just to give some experience here. Sometimes you see a
Okay, can we now have report backs? Because we are really behind our time. And I will now invite, are we ready? Gordon, are we ready with those who want to? You are not ready. Have we got any team that's ready to present? Scientific, okay. Can we invite the scientific? Can we invite the scientific team to come and present? Professor Chirenje or Professor Shakuran. The community, are the community ones ready? Leadership, are they ready? Who is here? Okay. No, we want a proper presentation so we can follow it properly. Tomorrow? You mean you are not ready? Is that what you want to present? Okay, if you are brave enough, come forward. Come forward, Dr. Mgodi. It's there. to the scientific committee presentation on parallel sessions.
So good afternoon, everyone. So on behalf of the scientific committee and Prof. Shukran and Prof. Chirenje, we just present, this is still work in progress because there were a lot of topics and we had to narrow down to a few, but we made good progress. So we were looking for speakers and topics with high public health impact, innovation, topics that are going to assist science close the gap. Also looked at gender diversity and regional diversity. So we'll start with the non-abstract driven sessions. The first one, managing TB and managing tuberculosis in children and adolescents. So we didn't change much here. Our first speaker is Dr. Agatha David. As you can see here in the booklet, this is our first speaker. And then our first backup from Zimbabwe is Dr. Mkokeli Ngwenya, and he's here. And then the third speaker or second backup is Dr. Ahmed Ismail. We are still working on the point person, but for Dr. Mkokeli Ngwenya, he's here with us. So that's the managing TB in children and adolescents. We chose that as a topic. And then the next topic, the growing epidemic of non-communicable diseases in Africa and considerations for HIV management. The speaker who is listed here as the proposed presenter, Francois Venter, highly recommended from South Africa. Details will be availed. I'll work on filling this evening. I will be a point person for Dr. Francois Venter, and also Dr. Graham Menigis from South Africa. So those were our two speakers. We were still to come up with a third person in terms of the growing epidemic of non-communicable diseases in Africa and considerations for HIV management. But we do undertake to work on this and we'll finalize. Yes. And then the third topic that we picked was high HIV incidence for adolescent girls and young women. What are the programming gaps? So our first proposed speaker is Linda Gail Becker. Details are available. And then as the first backup, we're still discussing, but would like to have either CDC ZIM or PEPFAR ZIM representative as the first backup. And then the second backup is Mugodi from Zimbabwe. So that's the third topic that we picked.
Are you giving us the second and third speakers?
Yes.
You haven't given us.
I have.
Okay.
So the second here for high HIV incidence, Linda Gail Becker, the first speaker. First backup is CDC Zimbabwe. We are working on this. Dr. Mshawi was just sending a WhatsApp message to get a name, but we've proposed CDC Zimbabwe or PEPFAR Zimbabwe office as the first backup. And then the second backup is Mgodi from Zimbabwe. And then we didn't pick the new post-COVID normal and managing women on HIV treatment. We didn't think that was a good topic. Sorry, allow me to backtrack a bit. So when we talked about high HIV incidence for adolescent girls and young women here, we thought that the speaker could be guided to include improving access of adolescents to HIV self-testing. So we are going to link, could you just scroll up a bit? Who is directing the screen? No, the other way, sorry. The other way. So we propose to include this question here, high HIV incidence, and the one on top of it, so that we guide the speaker, so that they include HIV self-testing in the incidence for adolescents. And then we didn't think like HIV, like COVID-19 vaccine, dealing with men and treatment. Okay, the ones we picked. Then the next one we picked was tuberculosis, HIV, and the challenges with managing migrants, refugees, and internally displaced populations.
Sorry, I was distracted by Luke. What did you say? That just the last one. The issue on post-COVID?
That one is, we discarded that topic.
You discarded it.
Mhm. So the next one we picked.
Why was it discarded? I missed that. Luke was engaging.
Oh, no, we thought that there was a lot of dealing with men and, oh no, we thought because there is also a vaccine, there's a talk in the plenary session about vaccines, COVID vaccine and HIV. And that was the reason we discarded. But committee members, please feel free to pitch in why we discarded HIV, COVID vaccine, hesitancy, and so forth. We thought this would be covered in the plenary session.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm. Then, so TB, managing TB, HIV in migrants, refugees, and internally displaced populations. The first speaker is Eric Lamontagne from UNAIDS Geneva. And then we've got an assignment for Dr. Leo Sekeng and even Prof. Shakrun to follow up with IOM for a good speaker or stop TB. So we've proposed first backup, IOM, second backup, stop TB. And it will be.
Sorry, Dr. Mgodi. The idea here was that we actually have 3 speakers.
We do.
Now you are giving us a speaker and backups.
Okay, those are, the 3 speakers.
Okay,
The
so you
3
don't have
speakers.
backups.
No, okay. So let me retract and say the 3 speakers.
Okay.
Eric Lamontagne, number 1, UNAIDS Geneva.
Right.
Then we proposed, we'll find a speaker from IOM, speaker number 2, and then speaker number 3 from Stop TB. But we don't have any backup, anyone from Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Mhm. But this is still work in progress, and Prof. Shukran and Dr. Leo, they are on it. Yeah, I hope it's clear.
Just clear now.
Then our next topic of choice was aging, elderlies, and the management of advanced HIV disease and opportunistic infections. Dr. Halima Dawood from South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal, Judith Kuria, and Prof. Suleiman Akam from Nigeria, from UNILAG. So those are our 3 speakers. We are still working on a point person. So those were our topics. And then the last one is the very last topic in this section. Are people living with HIV at increased risk of infections with resistant organisms? So the 3 proposed here are from the same organization. So we've tasked Dr. Pasi to look into this and come up with 2 other speakers who are not from the Biomedical Research and Training Institute, because all these 3 proposals are from the same organization. So that's the first.
But you have okayed Professor Ferrand.
Rashida Ferrand, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Dr. Rashida Ferrand has been okayed, and then we are looking for 2 other speakers. I don't know if there are any questions or clarifications from our committee.
Yes, Dr. Mshavi.
Yeah, I think I'm a little lost in the sense that if we are nominating 3 speakers, are they speaking to the same topic?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
According to you here, you put high HIV.
Incidents. Yes.
That's one.
And then we are including improving access. So it's one topic.
Put them together.
Yes. Then the growing epidemic of non-communicable diseases, and then managing TB in children and adolescents.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Is that all you have to present?
We've two more.
Two more, yes.
Mhm. So let's move on to the special sessions. It's the next one after the one we've just finished. Can you just continue?
We can continue.
Okay. All right, yes, so that one, making it last longer, considerations for HIV. We thought this was a good topic, and we've got three speakers, Hilda Mjuru from Zimbabwe, Philip Amsoke from Uganda, and Victor Musime from Uganda. This one is a complete panel. We've got a point person, and Dr. Stranix is the proposed chair. So this is a complete session.
Sorry, which one? Looking at which one?
The thematic is making it last longer, considerations for HIV. Unfortunately, we don't have page numbers here.
Special session.
Special session. Where it says 6 sessions. The very first one.
Okay.
You are there?
Yeah.
Oh, page 60. Yours is numbered. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All righty. So are you good, Dr. Parinyato?
Yes, I am.
Then the next, our next choice was gender-based violence among young people living with HIV, the impact on mental health, sexual risk behavior, and medication adherence. And so this one really is still work in progress. We are going to follow up with Abdi Abebal. So this one we really need to vet the speakers before we can confirm. So we've got the 2 speakers here, Dr. Nuligin Abebe and Kuchikidze Salome, but we need to double check their credentials and CVs. So this is work in progress, but the topic very highly rated by the committee. The gender-based violence among young people living with HIV. Then the next one was HIV therapies, right? The next page, right at the bottom, HIV therapies and cancer management for women living with HIV. How have we fared with prevention? We've got 3 speakers, Lamek Chinula from Malawi, Bothwell Guja from Zimbabwe, and Felix Mklanga from Zimbabwe. Our point person will be Prof. Chirenje, but he will assign someone. Yes, so that one is a complete session. Any questions there, Dr. Parry?
Well, you're asking me any questions. Any questions?
Clarifications.
From the committees? Yes, yes.
Yeah, Emmanuel Gasso from the AIDS and Arts Foundation from Zimbabwe. I actually wanted to nominate Dr. Rudozimun from the International Organization for Migration on the displaced population speaker. Yes.
On which topic?
On the topic on HIV and displaced population setting.
Okay.
Yes.
So could we comment on that? So I think, well, Prof. Shukran and Prof. Chirenj, there's a nomination for IOM Zimbabwe, isn't it? She's from Zimbabwe. Yes. Personally, I think it's a good nomination because we'll have a speaker from Zimbabwe. IOM. So I'll follow up with you after the presentation. So thank you for that nomination. So let's move on with our presentation.
But let's just make sure that we are now validating.
Mm,
Yeah, that's a different stage.
yes.
Okay. Pazinskwa got. Yeah, we are not nominating, we're validating. Okay. Okay. All right, proceed.
So thank you, Dr. Parry, for that clarification. So as usual, we've got a number of assignments where we are looking into CVs and validating speakers. So the proposed speaker will undergo the validation that is being done. Thank you. So the next topic to be chosen was the triple burden of HIV, hepatitis, and TB in Africa. So also here we've got, yes, there you go. Thank you. So we've got Dr. Ahmed Ismail from Ethiopia. We are going to request for this professor's CV because no one in the group knew about this Ethiopian professor. So we are going to request for the CV.
How did he come in?
From Abebao. So I think they were proposed by Abebao.
Okay.
So we are going to contact Abebao and we need CV, but Nigel Garrett from South Africa, this one was endorsed. He is a good speaker. We are still to identify the third speaker to be advised. So this is work in progress. Joma Kema is the point person. Yes. So Joma Kema is the point person and we are still to identify a third speaker. We'll do this. Our next topic was shortening the time for access to new HIV, TB, and malaria prevention technologies in Africa. So Karaisha Abdul Karim, a good candidate, a good speaker, highly recommended. And then we proposed a speaker from Unit 8. And Dr. Leo Sekeng is going to do that. Dr. Leo, you'll give us 2 more speakers. So this is work in progress as well.
Dr. Karim is not participating.
In the
mention again.
In the plenary.
In the plenary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's quite.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we debated that. I was of that same opinion.
Yeah.
But it was debated extensively, and there was defense which came to my opposition. So I accepted it, but I was of that same opinion. So it was debated and it was democratically chosen that she should stay.
Yeah, well, as the chair says, we did discuss it and we agreed to continue with her name against that topic.
Thank you, Chair. I think I was limited based on the earlier discussions that once the person has been discussed extensively, we have to accept. But I was also listening when the debate was there. Thank you.
Speakers, well, Dr. Kwaraisha Karim. Okay, work in progress. Okay, proceed.
So in the Zimbabwean culture, it's taboo to speak when the elders have spoken.
Yes.
but I'll still speak after Prof. Rati and Prof. Chirenje here. Also, the sentiments were that, remember in the first session, we're cited for being Zim-centric and South African-centric. So it was also felt that Karaisha might be replaced. So that's why we also chose to leave her here. So either way, she might be in the plenary or this session. So that was one of the sort of the supporting arguments for us to leave her here. And then the second speaker from Unit 8 and the third speaker as well, Dr. Leo Sekeng is following on that. So those were our 4 topics. Is it 4? 5 topics. So the first one, making it last longer for considerations for HIV treatment. The second one is gender-based violence, which is number 3 on that list. And then the third one is number 6 on the list, HIV therapies and cancer management for women living with HIV. Then number 5 is the triple burden of HIV, hepatitis, and TB. And then the last one is shortening the time for access to new HIV, TB, and malaria prevention.
Good.
So
Any
that-
comments? Thank you, Doctor. Can we go to the
last one?
To the workshops.
To the workshops. So here we're supposed to come up with 3 workshops. The first one, this was a unanimous decision. The first one was sexual and reproductive health for people with disability, and we didn't change anything that is listed here. We added a third speaker, Prof. Euphemia Sibanda from Sesha, Zimbabwe. So that completes this panel. First one is Prof. Akiemi, then Dr. Nuriling Abebi, and then Prof. Euphemia Sibanda from Sesha, with our point person, Abi Abebao. This Abi Abebao are very occurring very frequently. So this is someone we need to discuss with to find out more about the speakers. So that was the first topic. The second topic was social capital and digital space for HIV prevention and treatment access. So this is a very unique topic. The committee felt it was an important topic, but it's quite unique and very specialized. So this is work in progress. We are looking for speakers, and we've tasked Dr. Leo Zekeng to look into speakers. We've got 1 speaker, we need 2 speakers and a point person. So this is work in progress, and we'll hear from Dr. Zekeng. And then our last selection on the next page is the last one on the next page, managing the diagnosis and management of cryptococcal meningitis. So from here, our first speaker is David Lawrence, and then we deleted Prof. David Mayer due to unavailability, and we proposed Joseph Jarvis. We are getting their contact details. So the 3 speakers are David Lawrence, Joseph Jarvis, and Professor Chiratidze-Ndlovu. Those are our 3 speakers for that session. So those are the 3 that we're supposed to choose. We chose sexual and reproductive health for people with disabilities, social capital and digital space for HIV prevention, and then lastly, management and diagnosis of cryptococcal meningitis. So we've got a lot of tasks to complete, but we think we'll be in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mgodi and the scientific committee. I think you have done a wonderful job. Just those gaps to fill, and we're home and dry. Is this, you want to comment? Yes, Dr. Pasi.
Just to add that there was quite an interest on one of the topics, which is future of art in the developing countries. If we go down which was supposed to be presented by Viv Healthcare, and we felt that maybe it should be considered, and Secretariat can look at it, whether it can be a farmer-led symposium, but expanding it to look at treatment and prevention of art in the developing countries. So we felt that it was quite an important one, but we felt that maybe it should be accommodated somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pasi. Yes, considered for satellite session. So it's a good one for sure. All right. Okay. Community, are you ready? Yes. Huh? The leadership is the one that's ready. Leadership? Okay, leadership can come and lead.
Afternoon, my name is Mutsa Mangara from USA, Zimbabwe. I'll present on behalf of the leadership team. May you please put it in presentation. Thank you. So we managed to go through the task, but there are areas which I will highlight, which we did not complete, which are the area in terms of thoroughly looking at the presenters. So we will have some next steps in terms of finalizing some of the gaps there. But as it is now, the presenters of the different sessions which I will present will be as they are at the moment. So looking at the sessions, may you move? So what we did is when we looked at the different sessions, our process involved looking at the different themes and looking at those which were looking the same and merging those which were similar, and also combining others where we thought there is also some relationship and others remained standalone. So after the process of looking at the 14 initial non-abstract sessions, we came up with 6. Next slide. Those are the 6 I will highlight. Next slide, please. Yes. So these are the 6 which we then agreed. So the first one is session 1. We kept session 1, which looked at the whole of government approach, addressing multi-layered challenges of new infections and gender-based violence, sexual and gender-based violence, adolescent pregnancy, looking at the triple threat. So that one, we kept it, and also the presenters were also there. Then we also agreed on session 7, which was looking at So these are the speakers which I had highlighted earlier that we did not finalize on them, but they remain as they are. On terms of the session 1, we're looking at Dr. Ruth there, and we also have a representative from. So this is Minister of Interior. Then we also have our speaker 3 there, but we did not finalize on all of them during our session. So we thought we'll go back and look at them.
I wanted that clarification, because for non-abstract sessions, you need 3 speakers per topic.
Yes.
So according to you, when you say they're all there, that's what I wanted clarification. Because here you've got Ruth Masha, Grace Kumwenda, Rose Nyirenda, and Honorable Arab Sang. So which 3?
So in terms of our processes, where we had initially prioritized looking at the topics, in terms of the themes. Then in terms of the speakers, we wanted now to finalize in all those who are listed so that we remain with those 3. So that's the process which I declared earlier on, that those are our next steps as a group, because we did not have enough time to go through all of the speakers, but we prioritized the topics.
Okay, so it's really work in progress on your speakers.
Yes.
Okay, proceed then.
Then the second session, we agreed on session 7, which was looking at intensifying youth-led social accountability. And we also agreed on session 12, looking at the roles of CSO.
No, but can you go to session 7 and tell us what you've done?
So in terms of session 7, we were also looking at prioritizing the topics, but we also have work in progress in terms of finalizing those 3.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't have the speakers either.
Yes.
All right.
And that applies to all of them, which I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yes. Then we also agreed on session 12.
7, then 12.
7, then 12, which looked at the roles of CSOs and community actors to strengthen resilience of HIV programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have adopted that one. So in this case, it's written in French there. We have translated that into English. Then session 13 is also written in French there, and we have translated that into English, and reads the need to address human rights and gender, including male engagement, to end AIDS by 2030. We have also included language of male engagement within that topic, because we felt that was also not adequately covered by the topics which were listed. Then we combined session 6 and 9 into one session, which reads accelerating HIV prevention through a continuum lens, where we want to look at more of the multi-sectorial approach for the adolescent girls and young women, and also looking at the older women of reproductive age. So we combined those two, 6 and 9, into one session as our recommendation. Then we are going also to look at those the suggested speakers, and we narrowed them into 3 in that session.
So you actually have recrafted the topic.
Yes, we have recrafted it.
Okay.
We have also recrafted session 10 and 11 to read strengthening integration for better SRI outcomes, where we want to emphasize in exploring linkages between unsafe pregnancies, unsafe abortions, and HIV, and looking at women living with HIV. So these are our 6 sessions that we have come out of the 14 that were suggested. Then we move on to the next the workshop, where we were given a list of 5, and we reduced that to 3. So in terms of the presenters, there is still work in progress for the group. But we managed to agree on prioritizing the first 3, these 3 for the workshops. So the first one, which is workshop 3, which is looking at optimizing HIV service, which is looking at optimizing HIV self-testing and PrEP to expand access and address inequalities in HIV prevention response among young people from key population. Then the second one we also took workshop 4, which is looking at towards triple elimination, looking at the tools that are existing. Then the last one is workshop 5, which is looking at community-led monitoring. We thought this will really bring the voice of the communities. Then the last one, which we looked at, it's under the special sessions. Out of 9, we chose, I think it's 5 out of 9. So we chose session 5, which looked at socioeconomic empowerment policies for HIV prevention among adolescent girls and young women, looking at ending gender inequalities to end AIDS. Then session 6, which looked at education plus investment case for transformative results, leveraging girls' completion of secondary education for HIV prevention. Then we also took session 7, which looked at HIV prevention 3.0, and session 8, which looked at promoting criminal justice reforms and prison health reforms in Africa. Then the last session, but not the least, session 9, which looked at leadership and accountability to end AIDS in children. So we thought these were the the priority sessions, which you can take under the special session category out of the 9 which were suggested. So, and we still have work in progress in finalizing the speaker as a team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments on this one? It's really largely work in progress, especially that you have to identify speakers. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
No, but Chair.
So yes, Dr. Mgodi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We just wanted to add that much as we said is work in progress. In a lot of these sessions, they already have the speakers, and we agree that some of the speakers are, most of them, the speakers are there and the backups. So it wasn't like we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. Yes. Yeah. So there will be a few where we combine them, where we now have to sit and say, with this, since we combine them, who are the speakers? So that we'll be able to do.
The speakers are there, but this was a validation session. So that's what they need to do. Okay. Okay, Doctor.
So thank you, Chair. So my request is to the Secretariat. For us, the rapporteurs would kindly request an editable version of these tables. So now we just go in and complete, because I've got handwritten notes here. I'll go and complete on the table and send back to the Secretariat for finalization once our validation process is over.
Well, look here saying, yeah, which means it will be done.
Thanks, Lou. Thank you.
All right, finally, the last one. We've done all three.
I just had a question for the leadership group. I saw that workshop 1 was a workshop for young investigators on manuscript development and or grant writing. Wasn't this one of the sessions where we were talking of the young researchers? Or maybe something else will come up later for the young researchers in the abstract-driven session? Because I mean, if the abstract-driven session is not enough, maybe this would be another brilliant session to showcase the work that the young researchers are doing. Thanks.
To respond to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the committee validate that they need to have another session for young researcher? Then it will add to what we have for the abstract, because the abstract is completely different. But this one is a non-abstract review session. Exactly, capacity building is a workshop. Thank you.
Go to the next item on the agenda. I think we are making progress, a lot of progress, in spite of the working. Okay. The next item. The next item seems here to 10. Who's going to present that? Okay. So the session that we just completed, tomorrow, before we leave, we will have those gaps filled. Is that fair? Tomorrow, before we leave, all those gaps, work in progress. Yeah, they haven't. That's why we say yeah. Yeah, it will be, but you get ready. So finally, let's have the community. community.
Thanks a lot. Merci beaucoup. Nous allons essayer d'aller très vite pour les propositions de sessions concurrentes. On avait les 3 catégories à présenter. Nous avions les NATS, comme on les appelle. Nous avions les workshops et nous avions également ce qu'on appelle les special sessions. C'était les 3 concurrentes. Il nous avait été demandé de proposer 6 NATS. Nous sommes parvenus à proposer les 6. Une première session qui porte sur les spécificités sous-régionales en mettant l'accent sur le processus de décolonisation, décolonisation, French English, décolonisation donc disons, de la réponse. Et nous avions nos 3 speakers et nous avions également nos backups. Nous avions également le point focal et nous avions proposé les chairs et modérateurs. Pour la deuxième session, nous avions mis l'accent sur les populations clés en essayant de relever les questions sur les barrières structurelles et comment faire pour inclure les usagers de drogue, les sex workers et toute autre catégorie de population clé. Pour cette session également, nous avions pu proposer des speakers, des orateurs et également leur backup. Le point focal est connu, les modérateurs et le président de session également sont proposés. Pour la 3e session, nous avons proposé de mettre l'accent sur le financement, bien entendu en essayant d'aborder tous les aspects de ce financement-là, y compris le financement domestique, en voyant un peu comment on va optimiser les ressources pour atteindre justement les cibles. Là également, nous avions pu avoir un consensus sur les speakers et les backups. Les points focaux, parce qu'on en a 2 ici, sont proposés. Chair et modérateur également proposés. Pour la session qui suit, next, please. Nous avions voulu aborder les questions liées à la prévention. Et là également, nous avons pu proposer les orateurs ainsi que leur backup. Donc, c'est les 3. Le point focal est connu. Également, le président de cette session-là, la présidente, est proposée. Pour l'avant-dernière, donc 5e, nous avons voulu mettre l'accent sur la stigmatisation et la discrimination. Et cela également, nous avions pu trouver un accord sur les différents orateurs et leur backup. Le point focal également est proposé, ainsi que les chairs et modérateurs. Et la dernière session, nous avions voulu mettre l'accent donc sur les questions de droits, santé sexuelle et reproductive chez les jeunes, avec des sous-thèmes qui sont proposés. Et également, pour cette session, nous avions pu proposer des orateurs ainsi que leurs suppléants. Le point focal également est connu. Les orateurs sont, les présidents et modérateurs sont proposés. Donc, pour les non-abstract driven sessions, nous sommes parvenus à proposer les 6 et au complet, on a partout des propositions pour les orateurs. Donc, nous n'avons pas de souci là-dessus. Pour la deuxième catégorie de sessions concurrentes qui portent sur les workshops, il nous avait été demandé de choisir sur la liste que nous avions 3 sessions. Nous sommes parvenus à identifier 3 sessions. Une session qui porte sur le suivi communautaire avec les différents intervenants. Nous avons encore à travailler sur les suppléants et également à proposer le nom du point focal pour le suivi. Pour la deuxième session proposée comme workshop, elle porte sur, next please, elle porte sur les aspects de digitalisation et nous avions voulu l'introduire comme une participation donc à une recherche active donc autour de la question de digitalisation de la santé et de droit. Là également, nous avions pu proposer des animateurs pour cette session de workshop. Il nous faut compléter la liste des suppléants et identifier le point focal. La dernière session de workshop également, nous l'avons proposée sur les questions de droits humains. Et là également, nous avons pu proposer les animateurs de cette session et on a également pu identifier quelques suppléants pour cette session et également le point focal. Donc, en somme, pour cette catégorie de sessions concurrentes, nous avons pu identifier les topics pour les 3. Nous avions pu identifier les animateurs de cet atelier. Il nous reste pour 2 sessions juste à compléter les suppléants. Alors, la dernière catégorie, la session spéciale, il nous avait été proposé d'en identifier 5. Nous sommes parvenus à proposer 3. Il nous reste 2 sur lesquels nous avons encore à travailler. Un aspect qui porte sur ce qu'on a appelé du male involvement et l'autre aspect porte sur les aspects des enfants. Donc, je crois que ce sont ces 2 sessions-là sur lesquelles on n'a pas encore fini de travailler. Par contre, sur les 3, nous avons proposé une session spéciale sur le suivi communautaire. Nous avons proposé une session spéciale sur le VIH et l'âge. Et enfin, nous avons proposé, can you go to the next? Alors, la dernière session proposée, la 3e, porte sur diversity, tolerance and equity at the heart of the HIV and AIDS responses. Et pour ces différentes sessions-là, nous avons pu identifier les orateurs ainsi que ceux-là qui participent à modérer cette session. Donc, je crois que les membres du groupe sont d'accord avec moi que c'est bien les éléments que nous avons pu recueillir au cours de notre session de groupe. Merci infiniment.
Thank you. Summarized. Yes. Some comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. I beg the indulgence of the members because there is one particular aspect that hasn't been factored in, and it's because we were working based on what was already proposed. There's a looming crisis within Africa around rights and how that impacts on health, particularly for key populations. And that session does not seem to appear anywhere. Bearing in mind that these are sessions that we proposed before Kenya and the anti-whatever, and then the anti-homosexuality bill in Uganda. We know what's been happening in Ghana, and it's slowly happening in Zambia and in Tanzania. I would beg that we reconsider one of the sessions, if not for plenary, but for the co-current, because this is a discussion that we cannot afford not to have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any want to follow up on this one? No, can we exhaust this one? On this issue? Yes, go on.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président, pour la parole. Je crois qu'au niveau de la commission, la session spéciale qui a été proposée sur les equity, diversity, l'idée derrière, dans les sous-thèmes, au niveau de l'environnement légal et les lois, il y avait cette idée de revenir sur toutes les questions, comme la collègue vient d'évoquer, sur les questions de droit. On doit vraiment analyser les aspects pour voir les gaps, pour voir les propositions, mais revenir sur les questions liées au droit. Donc, je crois que sa préoccupation est déjà couverte. Sauf si on veut avoir absolument une session spéciale à part. C'est pourquoi je ne pense pas que les membres de notre commission pourraient être contre. Le deuxième aspect, c'est que les male engagement étaient aussi combinés avec la question du genre, parce que dans le sous-thème qui est donné, si on voit la présentation, on avait la problématique du genre et du male engagement. On a pensé que c'était mieux de parler des deux questions au même moment, sauf une fois de plus, si cette assemblée estime qu'on a besoin d'avoir une session spéciale sur les male engagement. Parce que, à notre compréhension, parler du genre, ce n'est pas seulement promouvoir l'équité et par rapport aux femmes et à leurs droits, mais c'est aussi parler de la masculinité positive, des hommes qui doivent aussi s'engager. C'est comme ça qu'on avait pensé, mais je ne pense pas que le groupe refuserait qu'on puisse avoir une session spéciale.
Did you say manhood? Okay. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much. So, je comprends ce que vous venez de dire, but I think those, especially the issue that Doti brought up, it's something that is extremely important, and we need to have it as standalone, because here we're not just talking about you know, a specific group of people, but we're also talking about the implication that has in terms of accessing health services, which is a basic human right. So this is really something that should be addressed in a standalone way, because if we don't give the importance that it deserves, there's going to be a spillover effect in the neighboring countries, and it's going to be problematic. And also, when we talk about gender equality, gender equity, of course, it's not about just the adolescent girl and young women, but there's men and boys as well. But it would also be good to have a standalone session just to address this and remind that it's important for men and young boys to also be more actively involved in this. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to second the comments from Dottie and Brice. We are seeing a rise in anti-gay rhetoric and actions across the continent. It's not just in Uganda right now, and it's not going away. But it's not just against the LGBTQI community. There's also sex work and people who use drugs. The law is a barrier to access to services and prevents us from reaching people, and it's bad for public health, not just for these populations, but for the entire population. So I think I would really plead that we have a session that focuses on harmful laws. In South Africa, for example, right now, there are efforts to decriminalize sex work, and then the public sentiment is very much against it. So we are seeing another wave of actions against decriminalization.
drug users, we're seeing the law being used to prevent people from accessing services and making those services available. So I really do think that we need to look deeply and have a session on harmful laws in the continent.
Yes, good. Just remind us your names again.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I want to agree that there's no any other time than now to think about human rights and the harmful laws and practices that the continent is going through. So having said that, I think it would also be important for this meeting to probably see where does this really fit? Where can we place it that it is going to be high level, but also be attended by the most important people that need to attend this. So that I think could be a decision, Chair, that you lead us into. But also I think we have the opportunity in our group, we already have 2 sessions we can go back and discuss if it cannot fit anywhere else. But also from the other presentations, Chair, I think there are 2 things that came out in, 2 themes that came out in leadership that we also have, because they talked about digital health space, which we have in the community. And then there was also another session on community-led monitoring. So in the name of integration and also creating space for other important sessions, we could look at these and see where they remain so that we have space for some of the important areas that are coming up. Thank you.
Other hand there.
Chairperson, I think I support those that are proposing that we give special attention to the issues of human rights. But I think this session, I don't think should be at the level of an abstract workshop or a special session. I think 2 possible areas where we should, because it's a major thing that actually could cause reversals of the gains that we've had so far. And to me, I think we need to reflect whether we cannot find a place at a level of a plenary or even at a level of the pre-conference session. Because if you look at the pre-conference session, there are going to be high-level people. And I think issues like this demand a different audience. Because us here, I think we agree that we should treat human beings equally, but politicians, on the other hand, may have a different view. So really talking to us on that, I'm not sure whether it will have an impact. But the special pre-conference that was talked about this morning might be a place where we may need to really reflect, because we're going to have high-level decision makers. Over.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't want to labor the topic. I'm sure adequate contribution has been done. I just want to introduce something new. It's about possibly as the community group, we might review and revisit some of the issues that we have presented and fine tune so that we can be able to do justice to the various topics that concern the community, and possibly to highlight that I think our rapporteur is perfecting the art of abusing his responsibility in terms of aiding in smuggling in certain things that we would not have discussed. So we are going tonight to even discuss heavily in our WhatsApp group so that we fine tune what has been presented to ensure that the community is represented well. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, Jimmy. We are aware that the community committee always has various views, and the smuggling in is very worrying. But because it must be consensus from yourselves. But who is the rapporteur?
Innocent.
Innocent. You are not so innocent. Eh?
Yes, it's not.
No, I won't forget. Let's exhaust. I want you here to speak last. Yes, Gasson.
Thank you so much, President. To me, I think as Africa, it's also critical that we do have something that we're actually having a lot of challenges on in terms of issue about the natural disasters that are actually affecting our continent. We seem not to be having much focus pertaining to that, looking at what happened in Malawi, what happened in Mozambique. It's really critical that as a collective, particularly being a continent, we collectively need to come up with something that is meaningful, that talks to us pertaining to our problems, of how best we can actually deal with them and make sure that as far as HIV is concerned, we are then able to come up with meaningful solutions that will be long lasting for the whole continent moving forward using the ICASA platform. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gasa. What we wanted is to exhaust this issue so that we don't lose. But your topic, your suggestion is very key. How does it affect HIV, all these floods and people moving and displacements? It's very pertinent. Any other contribution about what? Yes, Marcy.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the members of the community for bringing up this issue and encourage us to take a two-step approach. And one is we should be monitoring and paying attention to what's going on. I'm glad Dodi identified. We're hearing now immediate news about Uganda, but it's not just Uganda. And so we should be watching and monitoring and paying attention and reflecting that we are. And that's one thing. And SA could help us with that by
could you put your mic nearer?
Yeah, okay.
Because
okay.
Thank you.
But SA could help us by monitoring, having a small committee to monitor what's going on so that we are aware. So that's one piece of it. But the second piece is, I think the idea of a pre-conference is very important because we can gather together in advance of the conference to review what is happening, understand what is going on, and then make sure it is addressed in the conference so that we have information before we convene, and then we convene with either important statements and reflections that are brought out in workshops or come up with action items that we would recommend be taken in order to prevent the slide backwards. So I'm suggesting that we do a two-step piece. Let us be aware, let us monitor, let us understand, and if we can intervene. However, then when the conference comes, that we have a space for discussion and review and dialogue, and then out of that, proposal for action and solution, so that people can see that we are paying attention, that we're not just convening and we're not just talking about HIV in the way that we always do. We understand the value and the importance of monitoring and paying attention to what's going on.
If there's no further contributions, I'll ask Dr. Madzima to make his contribution.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to the presenters and those who contributed to this subject. But just to alert the House that the theme for this year is actually to address inequalities, accelerate inclusion, and innovation. And indeed, as one of the speakers mentioned, we do have a pre-conference on key populations, on HIV and disabilities, and on youth. This will happen in Harare, I think on the 2nd of December. But we are working with the networks to make sure that we include all these issues which have been raised in this House. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So, Doti, the issue that you raised is very important for CASA. And as we fight HIV and AIDS ourselves, we should be in the forefront at looking at anything that seems to detract or to retrogress the fight against HIV. And the issue that you mentioned is one such issue, which we need to approach in a very strategic manner, directly, but in a strategic manner. I've heard what you've said. I think we'll sit down and strategize and see how best we can introduce it and then come back to you before tomorrow is out. So that by tomorrow, we'll give you a response on how we can tackle this with the views that have come from here. Okay. Dottie? Good. So with that, what is the next item? Briefly, Dr. Madzima is going to be brief, and he's going to talk on the scholarships issue that so many of us want.
Late afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. It's been a long day. But I will just quickly go through the ICASA 2023 scholarship selection criteria. I think this is an important subject. We know that we are going to be giving scholarships during the ICASA, and maybe people want to know whose delegates will be eligible. Really, the preference is for those individuals who make contribution but are unable to pay for their participation. And it's open to everyone who is working or volunteering in the HIV/AIDS field in any country. The submissions are supposed to be made online in French or in English, and the instructions are available on the website. Maybe what is important is to note that if you register as a paying participant, do not register for the scholarship at the same time, because your scholarship application will then be disqualified. There are several types of scholarships. There's the full scholarship, which involves where if you are going to travel by air, accommodation and per diem. Then there's the partial one, which covers accommodation and per diem. And then those the fully for the virtual participation. And what are the categories for the scholarships? There's those who present abstracts. There are those who do workshops and facilitate workshops. And then there are the program activity organizers, and mainly in the community village, in the youth program and the women's program. We have scholarships for media, and the last one is for general delegates who contribute by their attendance. So how are they going to be chosen, and who is going to approve? The approvals will come through the various committees. For example, the presenters, we have to choose the relevant committee. That's the one which will make the approval. For the abstracts, for example, it will be the scientific program committee, and they will look at the various abstract presentations, which can be oral, which can be poster, which can be exhibition. But we also have to look at the region, the country spread, and age and gender, like we are doing to ensure equality. Then the workshop, again, is the leadership program committee. They are the ones who decide who receives the scholarship based on the selection of their workshop submission. Then the program activity organizer is the community program committee, which will decide. The media, again, it will be the communication promotion committee who will decide on the media scholarship. But the applicant for media will have to satisfy certain conditions. Like, for example, if they are in the print media, we expect to see some copies of printed articles, at least 3. And if it's the broadcast, 3 broadcast synopses. But there should also be a letter from the editor supporting this application and agreeing that the journalist should travel and come to for the official ICASA 2023 training program. We also need copies of press credentials and later verifying your assignment to cover the 2023 ICASA. For the general delegates who contribute just by attending, We're expecting delegates from the people living with HIV, community, organizers, political, religious, and civil society leaders. Then the community itself, the PL HIV network, the NGO, the grassroots, some charitable foundations, young people. We want young people to apply. Women representative, students, those who are doing PhD, medical, social science students, but have not submitted abstracts. Healthcare workers, not necessarily physicians, persons with disabilities, and the key populations. So how many people are we looking at? We are looking at the local, here maybe read NAC, National AIDS Council, who support about 500 scholarships. But ICASA will also support another 500. So we're looking at about 1,000 scholarships being availed. I thought you were going to clap heads. Yeah, so we hope to get 1,000 scholar people, supported to attend the ICASA 2023. And basically, those are the categories, but those are the percentages in terms of who come. For example, abstract 30%, workshop facilitators 10%, program activity organizers 20, general delegates 35, media 5. So that's the criteria which we will use. Really, the rationale, lastly, is that the delegates, the assumption is that the delegates will contribute to the conference program through attendance. Also, it's based that on the applications, the figures which we used actually based on historical knowledge. And but we also taking cognizance of the geographical proximity to the host country. This in this case is the Southern Africa. So we're hoping that we will leverage in terms of attendance from the delegates on the various regions. But we're looking at a special preference being given to university students, people living with HIV, women, young people, ages 18 to 26 inclusive, and persons with disabilities. Lastly, the geographical distribution of Africa is as follows, just to remind each other. Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, Central Africa, and Northern Africa. Yeah, so that's the criteria for selection of scholarships for 2023 ICASA. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madzima. Any comments on the issue of scholarships? Yes? Are you standing up because of scholarships? Okay. All right. No? Okay, for today, I would like to thank you very much. You have worked hard. If you look on our agenda, we are now supposed to call further for abstract reviews and to look at marketing and partnership strategy. We will do that tomorrow. I think today we've had enough. We're really supposed to have ended around 3:30, 3:45, but we've gone and past 5. But we've done well. We did very good introductions. People, we know each other now. We have worked very hard to look at the report of the Secretariat in terms of how far we are, where we are, and we've been given figures. We also looked at the gaps in plenary speakers. I think we've done very well on plenary speakers. That part is almost covered. Where we haven't covered much is the other issues, the non-abstract sessions, the workshops. Those, I think, areas are tomorrow. Before we start, and I know this is a good thing about workshops and staying in the same hotel. Tomorrow, before we start, we are hoping that those gaps will have been filled. So the chairs will be giving us reports. So when we start tomorrow, the first thing will be those reports. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I can see Dr. Mgodi is very excited by working on this one overnight. And we will then start tomorrow around at 9 o'clock. Let's keep time so that we hit this program and we finish before lunch so that people have a time to, as the Deputy Minister was saying, to look around Harare, to go around and see what's happening and enjoy it. It's quite enjoyable, Harare. So for tonight, yes, that will be it. You will notice there's something about group picture. We will not do that today because the way you look tired, you look terrible on pictures. So we'll avoid that to do it so late in the afternoon. Okay, so is there any housekeeping issues? No housekeeping issues. What that means is for tonight, you are on your own. You do what you can, eat where you can, and then, but still cover what we have asked you to cover. So thank you very much. I'm told that there is tea outside. So if you don't think you want to buy dinner, then drink tea, a lot of tea. Okay. Thank you very much until tomorrow.